Three River Stadium in Pittsburgh, and talk about a home field advantage. The Steelers are 83-18 here since 1970, and the Browns have never won in this stadium. 12 consecutive defeats. Hello and a belated Happy New Year, everybody. Bob Costas along with Bob Trumpy. NFL 82 has gone over all those complex playoff possibilities for you. Suffice to say, the Steelers are in, playing today possibly for home field advantage. The Browns are virtually assured of a spot in the playoffs, but certainly not assured of a victory here today if their past record means anything.
Terry Bradshaw has always been the man that the Pittsburgh Steelers have kind of revolved around. And 2 weeks ago in Cleveland, I think we saw Terry Bradshaw at his absolute worst. He threw 4 interceptions on a very, very muddy field. That was part of the reason. But this was the second of 2 terrible games that Terry Bradshaw played. Hanford Dixon, as you're watching here, intercepts Terry Bradshaw 3 times, 4 interceptions on the day for Bradshaw, and the Cleveland Browns beat the Pittsburgh Steelers 10-9. But what a difference a week makes. Last week, here in Three River Stadium, against the New England Patriots, first quarter action to Stallworth, 6 points. Bradshaw throwing with confidence in the third quarter to Greg Hawthorne, 6 points. They scored on 4 of their first 5 drives, and Terry Bradshaw appeared to be healthy.
2 weeks ago in Cleveland, I think it was just attitude. The team was playing up tight, scared to make mistakes. Coming off the Buffalo game where we played horrendously offensively. We were playing well enough defensively to win, but we weren't playing well enough offensively. Difference now, I think it's obvious. Attitude, the desire to go out and win games, believing in ourselves. Practices have been good, and it really is just that simple. Change your attitude, and you've got the talent, and you start winning again.
While Terry Bradshaw credits a change in attitude in Cleveland, a change in quarterbacks has led to 2 straight victories and an apparent playoff spot.
Paul McDonald, now the quarterback of the Cleveland Browns. And one of the interesting things I believe about Paul McDonald is that he has found a wide receiver in the person of Dave Logan. 8 catches in the last 2 weeks. This for a touchdown, and we find out why.
Well, since we're roommates, he tells me to throw him the ball the night before the game, so that's basically the reason he's the leading receiver now. Being as Paul's my roommate, and he said I threatened him a little bit. I never had a chance to threaten Brian, but I've been on Paul pretty good.
Sam Ratigliano, and what a house of horrors Three Rivers has been for him. In 1978, a 15-9 overtime defeat. 33-30 in overtime in 1979. 16-13, a loss in 1980 as Chuck Noll's Steelers won on a Bradshaw to Swan pass with 11 seconds left. Then last year, 13-7 Pittsburgh. The Browns had a chance to win it. Paul McDonald took them from their 5 to the Pittsburgh 12 with 2 minutes left, then was intercepted in the end zone. 12 straight losses in Pittsburgh for the Browns.
Robert, some interesting stats on this Pittsburgh Steelers team. They are 83-18 at home and 34-5 against AFC Central Division opponents.
Steve Cox's kickoff is a short one. Walter Abercrombie, the first-round draft choice, takes it and barely gets across the 20-yard line. Good kick coverage by the Browns and a 13-yard return for Abercrombie. Bradshaw back on the beam a week ago against New England. Pollard and Harris are his backs. Franco ran for over 100 yards last week. Stallworth with 7 touchdown catches, and his name in a different color indicates that he's in the Pro Bowl. Swan and Cunningham are the other receivers. Swan with only 13 catches this year. Webster, the center, who hasn't missed an offensive play in the last 3 seasons, also in the Pro Bowl for Pittsburgh. From the 21, the game's first play from scrimmage. Pollard spins out of a couple of tackles and gets maybe a yard.
First thing I note, the Cleveland Browns start with a 4-man front. They are primarily a 3-man front. They want to get Chip Banks into the ball game, and they want to get Tom Cousineau, and they want to get Clay Matthews when he's healthy. Watch Banks here, a rookie Pro Bowler from the Cleveland Browns.
Only 4 Browns rookies have gone to the Pro Bowl, and Banks is really in select company. The others, Jimmy Brown, Paul Warfield, and Greg Pruitt. And Banks will go this year out of USC. Second down 9. Pollard in motion. Franco Harris. Out to about the 28, stopped by Clinton Burrell, who had a big game last week with 2 fumble recoveries at Houston. Harris, Golick, and Baldwin will start up front. Golick with 5 sacks and 20 tackles in his last 3 games. There are the linebackers. Cousineau gets the biggest pay, but Banks is in the Pro Bowl. And the secondary for the Browns, they've intercepted 9 passes in the last 3 weeks. Hanford Dixon picked off 3 Terry Bradshaw passes 2 weeks ago. Third down 3. Judson Flint is in, number 20, as the nickelback for the Browns. Lots of time for Bradshaw, but not a first down.
interesting defensive set by the Cleveland Browns. They had Bob Golick, who played linebacker in college and was drafted into the pros as a linebacker, standing up. He is generally the nose man. But the first series for the Pittsburgh Steelers, 3 downs and out. Last week, of course, they started very quickly. Worth repeating that they scored on 4 of their first 5 drives and really put New England out of business in a big hurry.
John Goodson, the barefooted punter, and Trump, you're critical of his technique.
Yes, he drops the ball much too far. You'll watch the distance the ball drops from his hands before it touches his foot. And at times he kicks poorly, but when he hits it right, it goes a long way.
White Walker, the rookie from Nicholls State, returns to nearly the 40-yard line for the Browns. So Paul McDonald and company will have good field position. Sam Washington, number 41, made the Pittsburgh tackle. The Browns offense, McDonald with Pruitt and White in the backfield. Logan, Feature, and Newsom are his targets. Logan, a 56-yard touchdown reception a week ago. Doug Deacon playing with a broken right hand, which has hampered him all season long. And there's the rest of their offensive line. The punt by Goodson, by the way, was good for 47 yards. White takes the pitch and gets 7 on first down, maybe 8. This is the first year that the Steelers have gone with the 3-4 defense. Beasley is not starting. Edmund Nelson is in for the second straight week, a rookie from Auburn at the right end spot. Beasley has a sprained neck, but is available for duty. Lambert is in the Pro Bowl for the 8th time. Ham, Taves, and Cole, the rest of an excellent linebacking core. Donnie Shell with 5 interceptions. That's the most in the AFC. Everson Walls of Dallas has 6 to lead the entire league. Shell will be in the Pro Bowl this year for the Steelers. Pruitt gets the first down. Mike Pruitt is into Steeler territory at the Pittsburgh 44.
Well, let's watch Jack Lambert, one of the great middle linebackers in this game to ever play. He's playing the offset in this 34 defense. And you can see that they're trying to double the nose man, the center, and the guard Jackson. Jackson does an excellent job on Lambert. Kind of roots him out of there, threw it up through the middle for good yardage.
Played about 3 minutes of the first quarter. The Browns on the move with their first possession. Mike Pruitt. Fumble. Looks like the Steelers have it. And they do. Edmund Nelson, number 64, the rookie, made the recovery.
Now, we talked in the set of this football game that Cleveland has never won in Three River Stadium. And one of the problems that Cleveland has had playing here are the turnovers. Good hit by, it appears to be it's Dwayne Woodruff who hits the ball right on the tackle. It's loose. Edmund Nelson gets it. Pittsburgh ball. First down, their own 42-yard line. And we've got a flag.
Crackback block on Cleveland. Refuse a penalty. Pittsburgh's ball.
Ben Dreif is the referee today. There you look at Chuck Noll, tied with Hank Stram for 8th place on the all-time NFL coaching victory list with 136. Timeout with 11:58 to play in the first.
And you'll watch Dwayne Woodruff, 49, come out of the left-hand side of your picture right there, hits the ball. The ball is loose, and Edmund Nelson coming from the far side makes the recovery. 1 turnover against Cleveland. Pittsburgh with good field position.
Edmund Nelson, a disc jockey on his college radio station where he went by the name of Joe Rock. Thought you'd be interested in that tidbit, Trump.
Thank you.
Franco Harris for 3 on first down. Curtis Weathers, the right outside linebacker, number 55, gets credit for the tackle.
This Cleveland Brown front 7 are very, very young. Weathers began his career in the NFL as a tight end. Cousineau, of course, his first season, coming back from the CFL. Golick, a nose man, has played, making just his 4th start at nose. And, of course, Chip Banks, a rookie. They have matured very quickly in this season, in this shortened season, and are playing reasonably well.
They send Pollard, one of their running backs, out wide to the right, leaving Franco as the lone setback. Stallworth and Swan both on the left side. 2nd and 7. Franco turns the corner. Big yardage for Franco. Into Browns territory at the 36-yard line, a gain of 17. The 2 longest runs in Franco Harris's entire career have come him against the Cleveland Browns. 75 yards in 1972 and 71 in 1979.
Bob, watch number 50, Tom Cousineau. He tries to break up underneath. There you see behind. He is the pursuit linebacker. And I think he should be out there trying to make the tackle for a 4 or 5 yard gain. It's one of the things I think a young guy has to learn, and he is a rookie, even though he's played 3 years in the CFL. Those pursuit angles in the NFL, I think, are different than the CFL.
Here in Steeler country, it's unseasonably warm for the second straight week. Temperature around 40 degrees at game time. Bradshaw on first down. Wide open is Lynn Swann. Clinton Burrell throws him out of bounds, but not before a gain of 15 for Lynn Swann, who last week broke the record of L.B. Nickel and became the all-time leading receiver in Steeler history. That's the 331st reception of his career.
Bob, I can't tell you what the key is, but Terry Bradshaw appeared to notice man-to-man coverage. And with the double receivers out to the left, Swann and Stallworth, Swann just simply goes down about 15 yards, breaks to the outside, and you can see the single coverage. Burrell loses that matchup with Lynn Swann. First down.
The Steeler offense, which has sputtered on the road, has averaged better than 32 points a game this season at home. Franco. Only a couple of yards, despite a good block out in front of him by Steve Corson. Marshall Harris, number 90, with the tackle.
Excellent pursuit. That's one of the things that's characteristic of that 34 defense. If the nose man, being Bob Golick, can consume 2 players, they're going to have one linebacker from the inside who is free to pursue. And, of course, Marshall Harris, not very big defensive end, very active. Jets lead Kansas City 3-0. Matt Leahy apparently is over his slump, 30 yards on the field goal.
Clock winds down to 10 minutes to play in the first quarter. Second down 8. Lots of time again. Completion again. This time it's Stallworth. It's going to be first and goal, Pittsburgh at the 5. A gain of 15.
Single coverage again, Bob. Cleveland corners to this point are giving a pretty good sized cushion to the Pittsburgh Steeler receivers. From the defense, Bradshaw's primary receiver is this way. Notice the coverage, and then Stallworth on a simple out pattern, 15 yards deep, is open.
A week ago, New England went primarily with man-to-man coverage against Stallworth and Swann, and both Steeler wide receivers burned the Patriots. Bradshaw, who has thrown 15 touchdown passes this year. Dan Fouts leads the league with 16 for San Diego. Pollard gets a couple before being cut down at the 3.
Very characteristic of the Pittsburgh Steeler offense. This said it, try to run that trap up the middle. The strength of this football team has historically been its offensive line, even though this is the first year that 2 offensive linemen from the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to the Pro Bowl, in Webster and Larry Brown, since 1961.
Brown finally, after 12 years in the league, makes his first trip to the Pro Bowl, but not starting today. Replaced by Tunch Ilkin, number 62, at the right tackle spot. There's the 16th touchdown pass on the tackle eligible to Ray Pinney. They tried that 2 weeks ago in Cleveland, and it didn't work. A year ago, they worked it against the Browns to Pinney for a touchdown, so they've tried it 3 straight times, and it's worked twice.
Interesting note on that is that Ray Pinney must tell the officials that he is an eligible receiver. And if you can do it quietly so that Cleveland doesn't notice that you put another offensive lineman and he's lined up for the tackle, you can get away with it. That's exactly what happened. Watch once again. Good play fake. Then he had trouble getting off the line of scrimmage. It looked like 51, Eddie Johnson in coverage, but 6 and the extra point is good, 7-0.
So at least temporarily, Terry Bradshaw shares the league lead in touchdown passes. This was his 16th, and Ray Pinney, on the tackle eligible, gathers it in. It's 7-0 Steelers with 9 minutes and 33 seconds to play in quarter number 1 at Three Rivers. Today's game is brought to you by Mazda, who invites you to experience the all-new Mazda 626. By Gillette Atra Razor, the twin-blade razor that pivots for a close, comfortable shave. And by Holiday Inn, the only hotel chain that gives you a no-excuses room guarantee.
Bob, one note, as you watch Ray Pinney with that touchdown reception, he appeared to hurt his shoulder. Fell on his shoulder or his neck. Hopefully he'll be all right.
Uncommonly short kickoff for Gary Anderson. Dino Hall on the return. out to nearly the 30-yard line. A 19-yard run back. Let's go to New York.
This is Mike Adamle in our NFL 82 studios in Houston. The Cincinnati Bengals, fighting for home field advantage, have scored first. This 1-yard touchdown pass, Anderson to Dan Ross. Let's rejoin Bob Costas and Bob Trumpy. Gentlemen.
Thank you, Mike. Ray Pinney, who replaced the retired John Kolb at the left tackle spot. Kolb now on the Steeler coaching staff. If he can't make it, Ted Peterson would be his backup today.
Audible, obviously an audible, lots of movement.
McDonald scrambling. A flag down, and McDonald out of bounds just shy of the 30-yard line.
First thing I notice is that holding Cleveland, Ozzie Newsome, the tight end, had a great deal of difficulty getting off the line of scrimmage. And McDonald, watch this. Robin Cole, and then Jack Lambert. That's the one-chuck rule used to about as far as you can use it. The penalty will go against Cleveland, and I do believe Ozzie Newsome was the primary receiver in that situation. A hot receiver. I think Paul McDonald read blitz.
As Ben Dreif walks this off, let me ask you, how much of an adjustment is it for the other offensive players switching from a right-handed to a left-handed quarterback?
Offense, 63.
Cody Risen, offensive tackle. Not really, except that the ball, of course, travels in the opposite rotation, and it takes a little while to get used to that ball. Of course, any two quarterbacks, no two quarterbacks throw the ball alike, so you have to get used to that. That's probably the biggest transition.
1st and 20 from the 20. Short drop, wobbly pass is nonetheless there, and Ricky Feature makes the catch. Get about 14 yards on it. It'll be 2nd and 6.
But Bob, I make this comment, though, in the early stages of the game, either Cleveland is having problems understanding what Paul McDonald is saying with the audible, or Pittsburgh's defense is doing a great many things that they don't generally do. You see a lot of confusion out there on the part of Cleveland.
Bengals leading early. Jets, as we told you, leading early. Pruitt makes the catch out of the backfield. Pruitt has now made receptions in 48 consecutive games for the Browns, and he gets them a first down across the 45-yard line. A gain of 12. In that Cincinnati-Houston game, the first touchdown, Ken Anderson to Dan Ross's tight end, a 1-yard scoring pass. If two of these three teams should lose today, San Diego, the Jets, and Cincinnati, if two of those three should lose and Pittsburgh should win here today, the Steelers could get home field advantage in the playoffs.
Defensive huddle over on the Cleveland Brown sideline.
Inside 8 minutes on the first quarter clock. Charles White, only a couple, if that.
Excellent job by Donnie Shell in support. Strong safety of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he always keeps his nose right up at the line of scrimmage. One of the leading tacklers on this team historically behind Jack Lambert.
What does this transition to a 3-4 this year do to some veterans like Cole and Lambert and people like that?
Well, Woody Weidenhofer, their defensive coordinator, said one of the reasons they went to the 34 was to get Robin Cole on the field all the time that they can. Newsome!
Broken up, they had double coverage, and Shell came over to knock it away.
Gary Dunn was also in Paul McDonald's face. That's a double rotation zone. Coverage by the linebacker and the safety. Shell comes back to help out the linebacker. Actually, as a fifth defensive back, Ron Johnson's a free safety. Once again, blitz by Robin Cole. Then it's just a foot race up the middle. For some reason, Johnson was fooled, but incompletion.
3rd and 8 now from just shy of the 49-yard line of Cleveland. Dwight Walker, number 42, is in as a third wide receiver for the Browns. Out of the shotgun, McDonald. This one for Logan, and it's picked off. Dwayne Woodruff makes the interception. Well, the Browns coming into today's game had been +8 on the giveaway takeaway table, which is a very fine number. But today they've turned it over twice in the first 8 minutes of the first quarter.
Bob, in that situation, I don't believe Dave Logan saw Paul McDonald throw the football, and therefore he was late in making the adjustment. You can see it's over his outside shoulder. I believe Logan is looking for the ball over his inside shoulder. Good coverage by Woodruff. We'll watch it from the outset. There's a point in this pattern where Dave Logan looks back, and the ball is already gone. You see, and then he can't adjust. And, of course, the receiver's job in that situation is to make sure there's no interception.
Woodruff's 5th interception. It ties teammate Donnie Shell for the conference lead. Comes back on the field, Trump. We see Ray Pinney, number 74, is back in.
Good news for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're already missing their number 1 tackle, Larry Brown. Pinch Hilton there, his replacement.
First down pass from the 10. It'll be good for first down yardage to Lynn Swan, a gain of 13.
Ron Bolton on the coverage. Of course, he's replacing Lawrence Johnson for the Cleveland Browns, who's out with knee surgery. Swanee seems to be coming to life here in the last couple of weeks. And the little smile on Bradshaw's face. Now throwing the ball with confidence. You see Banks held by the play fake. And I believe he was supposed to have the underneath coverage. That looks like zone. But nevertheless, first down.
Pollard to carry. A 3-yard gain as he couldn't really turn the corner. Dick Ambrose and Tom Cousineau were both there for the tackle. How do you assess Cousineau's progress, Trump?
Well, it's a difficult transition from college and Canadian football to the professional ranks that we see here in the NFL, but Cleveland is pleased with him. He's learning. I think he realizes that it's a little tougher to play in the NFL than he might have originally thought. The thing that surprises me is they generally take him out in passing situations and will bring Clay Matthews in now that he's back and healthy. Cousineau was known as a very fast, good coverage linebacker in the Canadian Football League.
Cousineau missed practice late in the week, suffering from the flu. Franco Harris gets a first down at the 35-yard line. There was some criticism up until last week that Franco was a neglected man in Steeler game plans, but they got him the ball more than 20 times last week, and he had his second 100-plus yard game of the year.
And whenever you talk about 100-yard games, you got to talk about the offensive line of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mike Webster, the Pro Bowl center, facing Bob Golick. Let's watch the job. Double team. Wolfley and Webster on Golick, and Franco Harris up through there for a first down. Excellent job, Pittsburgh Steelers offensive line.
5 carries, 36 yards already for Franco. Bradshaw with lots of time, and in a crowded Stallworth. Now he coughs it up, and the Browns have it. Ambrose makes the recovery.
First of all, it was an outstanding catch, and it was a gutsy throw by Terry Bradshaw in coverage, but that's very characteristic of Terry Bradshaw. He stays with the primary receiver. He scans the field. And watch this. Excellent catch by Stallworth, and then when does he lose control of it? Oh, it appears that it's hit by Clarence Scott. Dick Ambrose with the recovery. Now 2 turnovers for the Cleveland Browns, 1 for Pittsburgh.
4:55 remaining in the first quarter, and the Browns have the ball back.
As you look at Dick Ambrose on the sideline, that's now the 12th turnover the Cleveland Browns defense has gotten in the last 3 weeks. They had 9 interceptions, and that was the 3rd fumble recovery.
Logan in motion on first down. White takes the deep pitch and is drilled for a loss. John Goodman and Edmund Nelson were there. Goodman primarily, number 95.
Here comes the passing set now for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They bring out 3, put in 3. Better pass rushers, better coverage men. 2 linebackers come out, and a defensive lineman comes out.
Bob Coors, number 90, is one of those who comes in. He's the Steelers' answer to players like A.J. Dewey and Ted Hendricks, in that he can play both linebacker and the defensive line. Pruitt carries on 2nd and 12 for a gain of 5. Just 8 touchdowns in 6 post-strike games allowed by the Steeler defense.
Speaking of problem scoring, the Cleveland Browns have come up with a grand total of 1 touchdown in the first half of the games they've played since the season has resumed.
And they trail here 7-0 late in the first quarter. On 3rd down, McDonald again with a deep throw, and Donnie Shell is there to break it up. Newsome was the target, and Anthony Washington, number 42, who was in on the nickel defense, was also there to help Shell. And everywhere Newsome goes, a couple of Steelers follow.
I think they have single coverage, Shell on Newsome, and then Washington is back there for the deep zone. Excellent job by Donnie Shell.
Steve Cox averaging just shy of 40 yards a punt. Willie Sidnor, a rookie from Syracuse who was awarded a game ball last week for his excellent punt returning efforts, is back deep to Pittsburgh. Fumbles it and falls on it.
Good
at
job.
The 22.
Good job. We have a flag on the field, Bob. Illegal man downfield. That was an excellent job by Sidnor, not trying to gain yards, but regain possession of the football. The head man of the Pittsburgh Steelers says no. Refuse that one. We'll take the
Illegal
ball.
man downfield, 59. Decline a penalty. Pittsburgh's ball.
Quite a contrast in the punters, Trump, not only in that Cox wears a shoe and Goodson doesn't, but Cox has a very low drop and Goodson drops it from the ceiling. 3:24 to play in the first. We're coming right back. Mike, and again, although it's complicated, Trump, these games mean something to Pittsburgh and to the Jets and clubs like that. Even though they're assured of playoff spots, they'd like to be at home, if not in the first round, then maybe in the second, depending upon who might be upset in the first round.
Can I wait till Tuesday and have the NFL figure that out and then read it?
Probably the best idea.
Okay.
3:24 remains in the first quarter. Franco. Big opening period for Franco Harris. He gets 8, maybe 9 yards before Marshall Harris makes the tackle for Cleveland.
Interesting thing about the Pittsburgh Steelers offensive line, they're not extremely tall people. They're all about the same size. And what they do is they're great man-on-man blockers, and they try to cut one defensive man off, that is the pursuit, and then allow Franco Harris to just pick his way up through the defense. He's always done an excellent job.
Second and about 1.5 yards for the Steelers. Pollard gets the first down.
Good block there by Benny Cunningham, number 89. He managed to hook Mr. Chip Banks to the inside, and Pollard went right to the outside. Scores of other games in progress.
They'll appear shortly. There they are. Cincinnati boost their lead to 14-3 over Houston. Washington looking to finish with the best record in the NFC. The Redskins are 7-1. They've taken a 7-0 first quarter lead against the Cardinals in Washington. A Joe Theismann touchdown pass there. Chicago leads at Tampa Bay 3-0 midway through the first. John Stallworth makes the catch. That's another first down for the Steelers, a gain of 11.
Now, Bob, the Steelers are doing a very interesting thing. When Bradshaw reads blitz, the receivers are simply going down 10 yards and turning around. Cleveland, with man-to-man coverage because of the blitz, are allowing a pretty good-sized cushion on the receivers, and it's not really very difficult to complete passes. You can see right there, there's almost 4 yards of cushion between Stallworth and the defensive end for the Cleveland Browns. Bradshaw now 6 of 7, 78 yards. He's hot.
Minute and a half remains in the first quarter. Franco Harris. He's about halfway to a 100-yard game already.
Bob, last week we saw Pittsburgh play New England, and they chose to run at Ken Sims, the defensive end of the New England Patriots. This week it appears they are choosing to run at Keith Baldwin. They are running primarily to the left-hand side of their offense.
Mike Robinson, who normally starts at that spot, left home in Cleveland. He's been ill all week. Baldwin, the rookie from Texas A&M, number 99, gets the start in his stead. 2nd and 5 from just across midfield. Look out. Bradshaw was not sacked last week at all by the Patriots, but Curtis Weathers gets sack number 1 on the day for the Browns. 2 weeks ago in Cleveland, the Browns blitzed like crazy, and they're going with the same strategy today.
I think Terry Bradshaw read it. He was hoping that one of the receivers was hot. You see Banks, he'll be blocked by Harris, but Weathers comes free from the backside. It appears that somebody missed an assignment somewhere. Bradshaw looking strong, and there was no outlet receiver, or what they call in the business a hot receiver. When he reads blitz, look for the ball immediately.
3 wide receivers with Jim Smith in on 3rd and 14.
5 defensive backs for Cleveland.
This time Terry has time, and the man is wide open. Jim Smith for a first down deep in Browns territory at the 20. 44 yards.
And for Dixon on the coverage, 2 weeks ago he had 3 interceptions. And there was really a blown coverage somewhere. Jim Smith, one of the great third receivers in the game. I think this is man coverage. Dixon on Smith all the way. Bradshaw has time to throw the ball. Wobbly pass, but he gets it over Dixon. Excellent catch by Dixon. First down, or excuse me, excellent catch by Smith.
And he was in the first quarter 7 of 8, 112 yards and a touchdown. Jack Lambert pictured there. Correction on the last pass. It went for 38 rather than 44 yards as the first quarter ended. Now for the Browns 20. Franco Harris. His total now at 56 yards after that carry.
Interesting call. 3 wide receivers run Franco Harris up the middle against the 34 set. Total domination by Pittsburgh in the first quarter. Time of possession, yards, rushing, and passing. 2 turnovers by Cleveland, 1 by Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh on the board for 7-0. Driving once again.
2nd and 5 from the 15. Almost intercepted. Cousineau got a hand on it. Stallworth was the target.
Cleveland's done a good job down here. Generally, the Pittsburgh offense is very, very efficient inside the 20-yard line. You see the pressure by Golick up through the middle. Bradshaw has to hurry the throw. He can't really look around. And a good tip away by Tom Cousineau. And watch Greg Hawthorne here. Generally, when he's in the offense, he's the man that they want him to go to. Great talent. He's open. He's underneath Cousineau there. Terry Bradshaw throws it downfield. Cleveland now with 4 defensive linemen.
Franco is the lone Steeler set back on 3rd and 5. 3 wide receivers. Franco, first down. First and goal at the 6.
Great call. Outstanding call. Cleveland had 4 defensive linemen. They had 3 linebackers. They had 4 guys in coverage and man-to-man. Quick pitch to Harris on the outside. The corners were covering receivers man-to-man. They had their backs turned to Franco Harris. Only 1 guy in pursuit. That's Clay Matthews, and he's somewhat hurt. Excellent call by Pittsburgh.
And it looks like Franco could be on his way to that 42nd 100-yard game of his career to tie Simpson for 3rd place on the all-time list, which is headed by Jimmy Brown with 58 and Walter Payton with 48 100-yard games. It didn't take long to get it. A flag goes down. Stallworth has the reception, which, if it stands, would be his 8th touchdown of the year.
Offensive pass interference. It will be called back.
You are correct, Mr. Trump.
That doesn't happen very often. You don't generally see that call.
Look at that face. I don't know what Chuck Noll had for breakfast this morning, but it wasn't quiche.
Offense pass interference, 82.
The science of being a receiver in the NFL is when you get down to the goal line and there is contact with the defensive man, you want to be in control of of the contact. You try to be in control so you can bounce off the contact and be open. We will not see the contact, but the official is right behind the situation. He was there to make the call. Hanford Dixon was the man interfered with, so it'll now be first down and 16 for a touchdown.
Protection is good, but not the pass. Intercepted. Might be ill-advised on the part of Chip Banks to run it out. But the important thing is that the Browns have the ball back, and now each team has been guilty of turnovers twice.
I think if Terry had his druthers, he'd rather have that one back. Poor choice in that particular situation. Banks back in coverage did an excellent job. Terry appears to have time here, although Golick is pressuring him once again. And it appears to be a pretty easy interception by Chip Banks.
Chip Banks, the only Browns player in the Pro Bowl this year. The Browns have not sent a defensive player to the Pro Bowl since the mid-'70s when Jerry Shirk went. That's Chip Banks, who intercepted Terry Bradshaw, and he's an all-star as a rookie. McDonald in trouble on first down.
Flag down, holding Cleveland.
If that's the case, it makes no difference that Pruitt dropped a very catchable ball.
McDonald did a good job holding against Cleveland. McDonald did a good job of reading the blitz. It appeared to be an audible there. And Mike Pruitt was the hot receiver. We'll watch again. One thing I like about the kid, you notice how he keeps his feet moving? You see a lot of quarterbacks just anchor themselves back there. As long as his feet are moving, he can throw the ball quickly. Edmund Nelson and Robin Cole with pressure on Paul McDonald, but the holding call, it'll now be first and 20.
Offense holding 73.
How can he hold? He's got a cast on his hand. Tough defense.
Just over 13 minutes to play in the first half. Pruitt carries. And only to about the 10-yard line. It'll leave them with second and long.
This is an unenviable spot now for any offense in the NFL, regardless of who you play. Second down and 11, you are at the mercy of the defense. It appears that Pittsburgh is staying with their pass rush set, figuring that Cleveland is going to try to dink it out in the flat to a receiver.
It's more than 11. It's closer to 15. Second and 15. Nonetheless, the Browns are glad to be here. A moment ago, it seemed like they would trail 14-0. Penalty called back, a Steeler touchdown, and moments later Banks intercepted Bradshaw to keep it at 7-0. McDonald's pass is a wobbly one, but again it's on target, and Dave Logan has the first down for the Browns.
Great job by Cleveland. Excellent call. Motion to the outside. It appeared to be Ricky Feature made Jackham in single coverage, put Jackham in single coverage on Dave Logan. Just a simple out pattern. McDonald has the time to throw it. You see the two deep zone. Jackham, watch this. Single coverage. The motion created this. Excellent job. Well thrown. Perfectly timed. And the roommates connect for the Cleveland Browns. Logan and Paul McDonald first down.
Breathing room now at the 29. Pruitt. Stutter step at the line of scrimmage. A flag goes down, and so does Pruitt. He got 12 on the carry, but let's see if it stands up.
Holding against Cleveland again.
There's Ben Dryth's crew, and there you get an idea of what some of these people do when they're not officiating football games, and some people criticize that. They say the officials should be full-time league employees.
Offense 63.
Ben Dryth has been an official for 23 years. Isn't that something? You would think that this would be a sport, being an official, that would run you out of this business in a hurry. He's tied with Jim Tunney for the most tenure in the National Football League as an official.
Browns face first and 20 from their 19. Flags again. Pruitt was the ball carrier, but there was all kinds kinds of activity along the line before the snap. Let's get back to that, Trump. You think the NFL ought to hire the officials on a full-time basis during the week? They'd work reviewing films, which they all do conscientiously on their own anyway, but some people think they should be full-time employees.
I don't agree. I would subscribe to the instant replay theory. Use the camera, use the facilities that television has now developed to help these officials as best they can. I don't think making them...
Defense, offside.
Thank you. I don't think making them full-time employees in the NFL is going to help. You still have to suffer with the big bodies, the speed of the game, and I think if you charge a team a timeout, ask the coach for his appeal, look at the instant replay camera, it's going to alleviate a lot of the problems in officiating in the NFL.
First and 15 now for the Browns. Incomplete for Newsom.
Cleveland using a great deal of motion to try to at least make the Pittsburgh Steelers defense think for a moment as to what might be happening. Create a little confusion. Hopefully someone will miss coverage somewhere and they will have a receiver open. But Pittsburgh is very, very well schooled. 3 of 7 now for McDonald. 46 total yards. Blitz.
Incomplete. He got it away, but Feature couldn't hold it. Woodruff was one of 2 people over there on the coverage.
Great job, too. I do believe Feature could have made that catch, but Woodruff knocked it out of his hands. There's Brian Sight, 1980, most valuable player in the National Football League. And watch the job by Woodruff. It appears that it's about to be caught, and then Woodruff, well, I take it back. Feature just couldn't quite hang on to that one. A little bit overthrown. Big down here, 3rd down at about 13. If Cleveland runs good screens, this should be the place to do it. Shotgun.
5 defensive backs Pittsburgh, 3 wide receivers Cleveland. Coming after him with everything.
Oh!
But Newsom. And he may go all the way. Woodruff is the only man with a crack at him, and he brings him down at the 20.
No flag. Excellent job. Paul McDonald keeping his presence, got outside of the pass rush, which was the first mistake by the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. You want to keep those pass rush lanes. Keep that guy in the pocket. Watch him move to his left. Right outside there, there's nobody between he and the receiver. And then, of course, the defensive backs have to worry about the quarterback running and the receiver catching. Washington there was the man that was designed to cover Ozzie Newsome all over the field. Now watch Washington. He thinks he's going to run. You see that little hesitation. Got the room for Ozzie Newsome. Giant gain.
54 yards, and then this tackle by Woodruff prevents a touchdown. But it's a first down for the Browns at the Pittsburgh 21 with 10:46 to play in the first half. Thanks, Mike. Here it's 7-0. The Steelers over the Browns, and watch again the 54-yard pass and run between McDonald and Newsom.
Excellent catch by Ozzie Newsome on a totally busted play. You can't really fault Pittsburgh except for allowing McDonald to get outside the pass rush.
Logan in motion on first down. Short drop by McDonald. Newsome another catch. Not much of a gain, perhaps 4 yards.
At this point on the field, it seems that the fashionable thing in the NFL to do is run a lot of picks. And this was the attempt. You saw Logan come inside to try to pick Johnson off of Newsome, the outside receiver. And it's good for about 4 yards, but generally they hope for more, 7 or 8 yards. It's not designed really to get in the end zone. That is, unless the defensive man falls down. McDonald now 5 of 10, 105 yards.
Pruitt bangs down to about the 12-yard line, and he is close to a first down.
Excellent block by number 63, Cody Rison. This is just a straight pitch, student body right. See if we can pick up the block by Rison there. He's on Jack Ham, gets him inside. Number 86, Dan Fulton, also does a good job of blocking. Brings up 3rd down and 1. expected a good ball game here in Three Rivers Stadium. These two teams always play close, regardless of what's at stake.
Third and a short one. Threw it.
Did it.
Probably not. A charitable spot might give it to him. Lambert and Cole, 58 and 56, in on the stop.
Used to be called the steel curtain, now the solid steel defense. Anchored by one Jack Lambert for so many years. Interesting that I believe Jack Lambert plays at about 220 pounds. One of the most fearsome linebackers there is in the game, and yet hits like he's a lot heavier.
Cleveland wants a timeout. They're not going to have to measure. They do not have the first down. It's 4th and less than a yard. And while Sam Ratigliano thinks it over, we'll tell you there are 9 minutes, 48 seconds to play in the second quarter. And we'll return to Pittsburgh after this.
Now for the Cleveland Browns with 4th down and inches. I'll tell you what I'd do, Bob. I'd go out there if I were Paul McDonald, and of course this is the choice of the head coach. Tell the offense, no matter how many times I yell hut, do not move. Run one guy in motion after about the 4th hut and try to draw Pittsburgh off sides to get a cheap first down. Their field goal kicker, Matt Barr, is 7 of 15. Not sure that they want to try him right here. Let's see what happens.
Mike Pruitt and Charles White are the backs. Featuring Newsom shifting. They pass for it and get it. Charles White gives them a 1st and goal.
Great job. Excellent call. Motion away into the formation. Have an extra man in there for pass protection. And White, an excellent receiver out of the backfield, just over the outstretched arms of the defensive linebacker. You'll see this thrown quick. Of course, McDonald left-handed. That's thrown his way. I couldn't really see who got his hands up there, but Shell with a saving tackle. First down, Cleveland.
Houston comes back at the Astrodome now to make it 14-13 in the second quarter. 7 minutes and 21 seconds to play until halftime there.
Timeout again by Cleveland.
So 9 minutes and 7 seconds to play first half. 1st and goal from the 7 for the Browns. The Browns come into Pittsburgh today aware of the fact that they are in the playoffs unless they lose this game and Buffalo and New England tie at Foxborough. They are also aware that they have never won at Three Rivers Stadium. 0-12 here. On 1st and goal, it's White. Turns the corner and gets down to the 1. That's a dangerous call because you run the risk of losing 3 or 4 on the deep pitch, but he turned the corner and made it a gain of 6.
He did a great job, too, making that little dip towards the line of scrimmage. It hesitated, made the pursuit hesitate ever so slightly, and then with good speed to the outside was able to get the corner. Great blocking by Newsom. Logan came that way in motion, and also Cody Risen. And we'll pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC television network.
WPXI, the news station.
Second and goal now from the 1-yard line. Cleo Miller, number 30, is in the Browns' backfield. McDonald, Ricky Feature for the touchdown. McDonald could have run for it, too. It was wide open.
Yes, he could have. You know what I was thinking? At the point where they snapped the ball, Matt Miller, Doug Deacon, number 73, was the outside man on the line of scrimmage, and I thought there was going to be another tackle eligible. This is wide open. He could have run in, Feature, makes the catch. That's one that, as a receiver, you hate to see. The tuba player covering you, and he throws it softly into your hands, and you hope you don't drop.
For Ricky Feature, his 2nd touchdown reception of the year. Matt Barr sneaks it through. We've got a tie game, 7 apiece. 8 minutes and 15 seconds to play in the first half in Pittsburgh.
How about Bob Trumpy? It's always interesting at latter stages of the season, difficult to beat a team like Kansas City. That's a contract game for the Kansas City players. Next year's contract.
Cox kickoff takes takes a high bounce, and Abercrombie lets it go into the end zone. Pollard scooping it up there. Touchback Steeler ball at the 20. The 85-yard drive, which the Browns just completed in 11 plays and 5:03 elapsed time, the longest scoring drive allowed by the Steeler defense this year.
Big play, of course, was the catch by Newsome, and of course the 4th down conversion. Very gutty call. Sam Rutigliano, of course, knowing that the Cleveland Browns control their own destiny if they win this game, and it's in the hands of other people if they lose, letting it all hang out.
Franco Harris. Couple of yards on first down before Ambrose and Cousineau wrap him up.
That's some expensive tacklers right there. Cousineau and Banks, first-round draft choice and the highest-paid linebacker in the NFL. Number 50, Cousineau, slides along the line of scrimmage. Both are there to make the tackle.
You're right. It was Banks rather than Ambrose who helped Cousineau on the play. 2nd and 8 coming up. You mentioned the playoff fate of the Browns. There was some talk in Cleveland earlier this week about a Browns request to Pete Rozelle that the Buffalo-New England game be played today under playoff rules. That is no tie possible. Play it to a conclusion no matter how long it takes, so that it would not be in the best interest of either of those clubs to play for a tie. Franco can't turn the corner, no gain.
That request, of course, was turned down by the commissioner, saying that he had no control of it, that all 28 team owners would have to vote in favor of that. Harris now, I believe, has got 74 yards in his first half on 11 carries. Very, very productive. And when Franco Harris is productive, the Pittsburgh Steelers are a tough team to handle because of ball possession.
New England jumps out to a 3-0 lead in the second quarter over Buffalo. John Smith from 42 yards out for the score. Third down, Bradshaw throws long and over the head of John Stallworth.
Very close. Very close. Double rotation zone. That is corners up, safeties out, and Bradshaw trying to take advantage of the outside of the zone. This is very close to a pass reception, and if you can do that against that double rotation zone, you'll keep Cleveland out of it for the rest of the day.
Now Goodson to kick, and watch his drop in contrast to the drop of Steve Cox.
The distance it traveled from his hands to the point where it meets his foot. It's an awful long way.
Dwight Walker, a fair catch at the 35 of the Browns. 40-yard kick by Goodson.
That's one of the problems when you drop it that far. If it doesn't hit your foot exactly right, there is a chance, of course, of a shank.
The Hula Bowl in Trump. We are Honolulu bound.
I'll take off my battery-warm socks and put on my flowered shirt. Watch the distance now. The ball drops. Boom. That's a good 3 feet. If you don't drop it perfectly every time, you kick the ball differently every time.
Well, the net wasn't bad on it, though. No return, so the net is 40 yards.
Correct. But still, you take the chance of the shank, and in the NFL, I think most teams would sacrifice 6 or 7 yards in distance for a great deal more accuracy.
That Hula Bowl ought to be an interesting one, Trump. You'll see players like Dan Marino, the Pitt quarterback. Tom Ramsey will be another of the quarterbacks there. Kurt Warner, who had a great game last night of the Sugar Bowl as Penn State laid claim to the national championship. Eric Dickerson from SMU will be in that game. Saturday night, January 15th, in prime time, 9 o'clock Eastern time on NBC. First down, White caught it and fumbled it. And there to pick it up is Robert Jackson.
Incomplete pass.
Definitely the kind of play that could have been called either way, Trump, and we've seen it called both ways.
Lauren Taves on the hit. This is zone coverage, and the linebackers are sitting right there waiting for someone to make the catch. And I believe the reason they ruled it no catch is that both feet did not make contact with the surface, and therefore incomplete pass. And the wind knocked out of one Charles White.
He was replaced by Cleo Miller. Browns have converted 1 of 4 on third down. They need a yard here. Threw it. Vaults for it.
Close.
telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League, intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Pittsburgh Steelers and the NFL is prohibited.
Cleveland now 1 of 5 in third down conversions. That's always a big stat in the game, and they've had a couple of third and ones that they couldn't convert, which is not good news for the Cleveland Browns. Now watch this kid's drop. It's about 18 inches.
And blocked. Could turn into a touchdown. The Steelers will score on it. Taking it in is the reserve tight end, John Rogers, number 87.
Has had a punt block this year, and it's converted into a touchdown. Both of those guys, 87 and 41, Sam Washington, appear to be virtually untouched. Look at there. That's not a good enough job by the punt team of the Cleveland Browns. You can't blame that on the punter. He comes relatively unscathed in there. 2 of them.
Trouble on the placement. Let's see if they can make something out of it. Stout can't get in. So Gary Anderson doesn't get a chance to kick it, and the Steelers will have to settle for a 13-7 lead. The agony of Steve Cox as John Rogers, the rookie from Louisiana Tech, Terry Bradshaw's school, blocks the punt and then takes it in for the touchdown.
But that's not Cox's fault. Got to do a job. Watch Rogers. He goes by 81 of the Cleveland Browns. That's Mike Whitwell, and he realizes the mistake he makes. You see 81 there trying to run down Rogers, but you got to do a better job of that in blocking for your punter. Watch once again. That's not an extraordinary amount of time. It's a good snap. 6 points, 6 cheap points for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
If Rogers hadn't blocked it, Sam Washington, another rookie from Mississippi Valley State, would have.
There's Mr. Whitwell. Now he's got to somehow make up for that mistake.
Now Gary Anderson. Half of this rookie's kickoffs have gone into the end zone this year. 7th-round draft choice of the Buffalo Bills and then waived by the Bills and picked up by the Steelers, for whom he has hit 9 of 10 field goal tries this year. Dino Hall does not get to the 20.
Now you can see not only the 6 points, but the emotion of the game is now on the side of the guys in the black hats. A mistake like that, a touchdown that most teams try their very best to plan against. All kinds of time spent on blocking for the punter. And something like that happens, and you end up losing in Three River Stadium 12 years in a row.
.20 to play in the half as McDonald goes to the air on first down. Incomplete. The Steelers have recorded 31 sacks this year. The Raiders lead the league in that regard with 35. The Steelers are second. McDonald has been forced to hurry several times in this first half.
2nd and 10. Not the most comfortable position for any offense to be in. It takes a couple of downs to get your emotion back after that block punt. You just say, no matter what we do here, it doesn't seem to work if you're Cleveland.
Here they come again. McDonald fires long. He wants Newsome, and he's got him. Another long connection between McDonald and Newsome. He split Ron Johnson and Donnie Shell for a gain of 35.
Pittsburgh is staying with that double rotation zone. That is, corners up, safeties out, and Newsom splits it right down the middle. You see Ham and Blitz, and Shell playing to the outside, just can't quite catch up with Newsom. And they've got Johnson on the inside, but that's a great throw by Paul McDonald. Over the outstretched arms of Johnson, and Ozzie Newsom has been the big play man for the Cleveland Browns today.
4.5 minutes to play until halftime. First down at the Steeler 46. Top again.
He's open.
Look at Fulton. Dropped it.
On the money. He knows it. He knows it. That's the chance of a lifetime of the first half for the Cleveland Browns. The coverage they want, the correct play call. Fulton with excellent speed once again, behind Johnson, behind Shell, and it's not to be.
I like that qualifying statement, Trump. That's the chance of a lifetime in this half.
Well, I do the best I can.
So does Fulton, but that time it wasn't meant to be. 2nd and 10. Frustrating sequence of events for the Browns. This time feature. Broken up by Dwayne Woodruff.
I'll tell you what, the Pittsburgh Steelers are blitzing a great deal. The Cleveland Brown offensive line, they are doing an excellent job of picking up those receivers, and Cleveland's receivers have been open this first half. This is once again a great pattern run by feature. You see Lambert coming up through the middle. They pick them all up. There's time. And this is just a great play by Dwayne Woodruff. Heck of a play. One of the best athletes that Pittsburgh has on their football team.
McDonald has thrown long at least a half dozen times in this first half.
Shotgun.
On 3rd and 10. He wants feature, who was bumped by Woodruff. Pass interference.
Good call. That ball was thrown before feature even looked back to the quarterback. I'm not sure what Dwayne Woodruff is complaining so much about, but I believe that to be a good call. Maybe he's saying that there's no way the ball could have been caught.
49. First down.
Single coverage once again. Cleveland, through motion, formation, or something, is creating that single coverage all over the field. I believe that's a good call. Interference on Dwayne Woodruff. First down for the Browns.
McDonald again, and this time the sack. Barry Dunn got there. Number 67.
Just as soon as I said Cleveland had done an excellent job in protecting the quarterback with just 3 guys in the pass rush, Dunn gets to the quarterback. Right over the center, Tom DeLeon. You see Jackson and DeLamielleure look outside. And Dunn just pushes DeLeon right back into the quarterback's face.
They lose 7, back to the 40. Clock running with 3:40 to play in the half. 13-7 Pittsburgh. 2nd and 17.
Blitz.
The draw doesn't work. Keith Willis, number 93, a rookie from Northeastern, makes the tackle.
Cleo Miller now into the ball game. Mike Pruitt comes out. 3rd down and what? Would you say, Bob? About 14?
Let's call it 15.
It'd be a shame to come back to that block punt, drive the ball down the field, then come away with no points here for the Cleveland Browns. Once again, the Pittsburgh defense creating some confusion on the Cleveland Browns' part.
McDonald in trouble. The ball knocked away. Who's at the bottom of the pile with it?
I don't know who's got the ball, but I think we got to credit Robin Cole with stripping it right out of Paul McDonald's hands. Pittsburgh ball.
And plenty of time to add to their 13-7 lead. They get it back at their 45 with 2:45 remaining in the half.
A block punt. Watch once again. Robin Cole to the left. Takes on Cleo Miller. Saves on him. Cole strips the ball away, and I haven't the slightest idea who he ends up with it.
I think Cole recovered it as well as stripping it away, Trump.
Robin Cole gets the ball away from Paul McDonald. Another turnover, Cleveland.
The third of the day by the Browns, plus they had a punt blocked and returned for a touchdown. Franco. Gain of 4. Ambrose, the tackle.
Well, at halftime, they'll talk about missed opportunities. Cleveland has had their chances. Pittsburgh, of course, has played very well. They've created a lot of those turnovers. Franco Harris now 12 carries, 75 yards with 2:20 to go in the first half.
The Steelers, on the other hand, will lament, as you look at Robin Cole, a hero a moment ago, they'll lament the touchdown they had called back on a penalty and the subsequent interception which killed that drive.
Correct.
Franco. Close to a first down, but short of it. Bob Golick, Keith Baldwin, and Tom Cousineau all around the ball carrier. 2-minute warning, which actually comes with 1:56 showing on the clock. The Steelers lead it by 6, and we'll be back after this. The preceding announcement was furnished by the National Football League. 3rd down 1 upcoming for the Steelers. Just shy of the 45-yard line of Cleveland. Buffalo, after trailing 3-0, comes back to lead 13-3 at New England.
Kansas City pounding on the New York Jets, 24-6 in Kansas City.
Ooh. Washington at 7-1. Their only loss, they were beaten by the Cowboys and leading the Cardinals 7-0 in the first. Right shot of the air for that yard. But it's dropped by Cunningham. The first time he's gone to his tight end today.
What do you do here? Do you go for it? Cleveland's only got one timeout left. Now they're going to punt it. Take no chances. More than happy to go in at halftime leading 13-7. That ball should have been caught.
Good call, even though it didn't work?
Yes. Excellent call. Not one that Pittsburgh uses very often.
Walker now stands at his own 10-yard line, awaiting the kick by Goodson. Very little rush by the Browns. Out of bounds at the 14. Flag goes down. 31-yard kick by Goodson with no return.
Excellent kick, too. Inside the 20-yard line, angling for the sideline.
Legal man, kicking team downfield, 90. Decline a penalty. First down the other way.
Although college basketball takes a break on NBC Sports for a couple of weeks, we'll be back on January 15th from Charlottesville, where the defending national champion North Carolina Tar Heels battle Ralph Sampson and the Virginia Cavaliers. In addition, a full slate of great college matchups, including the Notre Dame-UCLA game on Super Sunday, all here on NBC Sports. North Carolina back on the beam. They avenged that loss to Missouri early in the season as they met the Tigers again in the final game of the Rainbow Classic this week and beat them by 15.
Chaminade.
The Silver Swords of Chaminade. Blemishing Virginia's record.
Cleveland has one timeout remaining in the first half.
A minute 42 to play. Threw it on the pitch. Gains a couple at halftime, NFL 82, all the scores and the highlights, and we'll let Len Berman, Mike Adamle, and Pete Axthelm try and figure out what the playoff implications are. Bradshaw knows he'll be there. He doesn't know exactly where and against who yet.
They hope at home, of course. Pittsburgh averages 33 points offensively per game here, just 13 per game on the road.
How long can you expect this kind of weather to hold up in Pittsburgh, though? It's been beautiful the last couple of weeks. McDonald's pass intended for Feature and incomplete. This will leave them with 3rd and 8.
Timing pattern between McDonald and Feature, trying to get underneath the coverage. You'll see Feature going in motion. McDonald just sits up, thrown outside of it.
McDonald 9 of 19 for 155 in the first half, more than half of that on 2 long completions to Ozzie Newsome.
What do you do here? 3rd and 8, 56 seconds left.
They don't get the first down. Pittsburgh has timeouts remaining, and barring a booming kick by Steve Cox, they could get into field goal range very quickly. Off the hand of Logan and incomplete.
Now I would suggest, since we took off on Mr. Whitwell so bad, number 81 of the Cleveland Browns on the punt team, why not watch him again, see if he does a better job this time. Cleveland certainly doesn't want to have 2 punts blocked in this football game. They didn't want 1. 10 guys up at the line of scrimmage, Bob.
Willie Sidnor back deep at the 45 after Fred Bohannon broke a hand. Sidnor took over the punt return duties. Had a great game last week against the Patriots.
1 man late on the field. They only had 10 men on the field for that punt.
Greg Hawthorne got there late. Sidnor lets it bounce and is smothered before he can get to midfield. 37-yard kick by Cox. Clock stops. 43 seconds left. And it was Whitwell who made the tackle.
Good for him. Trying to make up for the mistake he made in the previous punt. But when you realize the mistake you made, when you watch those films on Tuesday, you try to find a crack in the floor to crawl in when that play is shown on the screen.
It was a rookie's mistake by Whitwell, a rookie's nightmare. He's from Texas A&M in his first year in the league. Bradshaw trying to get them at least into field goal range. Swings it to Franco, who can't get out of bounds. Met by Chip Banks and slammed down.
No huddle play. Bradshaw will go into the series with 2 plays called. Now he calls timeout.
Well, if they were going to call a timeout, why not call it right away?
Well, I think his intention was to run a preset play so that they could then hope for a completion, get the ball farther down the field, then go to the sideline and leave 1 last timeout for the field goal kicker. And Anderson is a threat to kick it from, I'd say, 50 yards, so they only need about 15 in order to be in his range. And 3 points at the end of this first half would certainly lift the spirits of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Between 40 and 49 yards, this rookie, Gary Anderson, is 5 for 5 this year. He's 9 of 10 overall. He missed his first one. Actually, it was blocked by Dallas. Since then, he's made 9 in a row. Last year at Syracuse, he set an NCAA accuracy record by making 18 of 19 for the Orange Men. And yet he wasn't drafted until the 7th round by Buffalo, and even then he was released by the Bills.
I was very interested in a comment that Chuck Noll made. He said, until we got Gary Anderson, I always considered the distance generally for a field goal kicker to be very accurate is 30 yards. He said, with Gary Anderson, I've got to change my mind and make that 40 yards. He is an unbelievable kicker. And, of course, the fact that he can get the ball in the end zone on kickoffs is the main reason he made this ball club last year. Because the defense wasn't as... this year. The defense wasn't as staunch as it had been in the past.
2nd and 5. Nice catch by Swan and out of bounds.
Right now at the 33, 43, and 7. 50 yards. They're now in his range.
Ron Bolton was arguing that Swan was out of bounds before the reception, but it's a gain of 14. There is no love lost at all, Trump, between Bolton and Swan.
Bolton Bolton replacing Lawrence Johnson, who underwent cartilage and ligament knee surgery in Cleveland this week. Devastating loss. He was a world-class sprinter, and they wonder if what effect that's going to have on him. He was a fine defensive back for Cleveland.
Remember last year when Swan and Bolton each accused the other of spitting at him. Almost intercepted. Ambrose had it right in the breadbasket and couldn't hold it.
Something happened. Lynn Swan and Jim Smith ran smack into each other. About 25 yards down the field, they collided, and Ambrose, I think, was the most surprised man on the field that the ball came in his direction. Watch this. I think the only guy you'll see is Ambrose. There you see Swan, and just to his left was Smith, and someone ran the wrong pattern somewhere. Watch Swan. To your right should come Smith. There's confusion somewhere. That's not the way it's supposed to be drawn up.
14 seconds left now. 2nd and 10 from the 34.
Flag down. Benny Cunningham moving.
Russell Davis makes the catch.
They'll bring it back.
5 seconds on the clock.
Benny Cunningham moved early. They will bring it back from the point of the last play. The completion will not count.
Well, they got problems now because they'd have to run a very quick sideline pattern and try and get out of bounds with a second to go to get Anderson on the field.
They should mark it from where the ball was last snapped, not where the completion was made.
In which case, they'd go back to the 39, and from there to be a 56-yard field goal try.
With 5 seconds left, I'd try it. I'm wondering about the choice here for Cleveland. I don't think they have a choice. It was
Offense, illegal motion, 89.
They're going to try it.
Anderson's longest, 48 yards at Houston on November 21st. He's 5 of 5 from 40 yards or more, but none longer than 48. This one is 57. Stout holds.
Not enough.
Straight but short. So a string of 9 consecutive successful field goal attempts by Anderson ends, and the Steelers take a 13-7 lead into the locker room. Trump, impressions of this first half.
Cleveland gets the ball at the beginning of the second half. They've hurt themselves more than the Pittsburgh Steelers have hurt them. They've got to be encouraged that they can move the ball and throw the ball down the field almost at will. No semblance of that team here. The first victory that the Cincinnati Bengals had as an expansion team was against the Pittsburgh Steelers in a place called Morgantown, West Virginia, which is where the Mountaineers of West Virginia play. But since Chuck Noll came, and with the drafts of Bradshaw, Joe Green, and then that 74 draft that I believe included Stallworth, Lambert, who else am I missing?
Webster was in that draft.
Yes. This has been a very dominating team in the NFL.
Well, you look at their Pro Bowl players this year as Gary Anderson prepares to kick off. And more on that 74 draft in just a moment. Dino Hall at the 3. Hall to the 28-yard line. Mike Webster, who makes the Pro Bowl as a center, was a 5th-round draft choice in '74. Wide receiver John Stallworth, a 4th-round pick. Jack Lambert went in the 2nd round that year. Donnie Shell, who makes the Pro Bowl squad this year, was a free agent acquisition in 1974. And their 5th Pro Bowl player this year is Larry Brown, who makes it the first time. He was a 5th-round draft choice in 1971.
Well, the thing I think interesting about Pittsburgh is that no player on their roster has ever played a down for another NFL team. They're all drafted or free agents.
Even their free agents have been only with the Steelers. Threw it for next to nothing on first down.
That first drive of the second half is vitally important for each team. Pittsburgh trying desperately to turn the ball back over to their offense, to that man, Terry Bradshaw. And Cleveland trying to get down the field and not self-destruct as they did in the first half. They've moved the ball very well. It's going to be interesting to see if Pittsburgh stays with the blitz In the first half, Cleveland had receivers open against that blitz.
McDonald to Newsom, who was shoved out of bounds by Woodruff at the 36-yard line, leaving them 3rd and 3.
Well, they just answered our question. They did come with the blitz once again.
Sam Ratigliano sends in Fulton and Cleo Miller. 3rd down, 3.
Cleo Miller, I believe, for a little better blocking. Expecting the blitz. Here comes Pittsburgh now with their pass rush set.
For the victory today, Chuck Noll would be alone in 8th place on the NFL coaching victory list. He moved past Hank Stram. That list is headed, of course, by Papa Bear Hallis with 320 victories. McDonald needs 3 and gets it. Ozzie Newsome again, the 5th reception for Newsome, who now has more than 100 yards on the day.
How did he do that? Merriweather was on the coverage, and that is what you call pinpoint passing. Watch Merriweather. He's off the line of scrimmage. Newsome just goes down, and it's a foot race to the outside. But watch where that ball comes. If Merriweather had turned around and caught sight of the football and able to catch it, that's 6 points the other way. But an excellent completion by Paul McDonald, known as an accurate passer in his college days and now with the Cleveland Browns.
13:32 to play, 3rd quarter, from the Browns 44, trailing by 6.
Oh.
White thinks he was interfered with, and it might turn out that way. The flag went down late, and Jack Ham is guilty.
I'll tell you what, I don't blame Jack Ham for complaining, because the side judge, or I should say the linesman, made the call, and he's looking from the back of Jack Ham and saw it.
Pass interference, 59. First down.
Excuse me, Ben, but he saw him jump over the receiver's back, and I don't know if he could ever determine if there was contact made or not. Nevertheless, first down.
It was Ham, by the way, who recovered that fumble in the first half, about which we had some doubts. We knew Robin Cole had knocked the ball loose, and there was a big pileup, and officially Ham gets credit for that fumble recovery.
Looks like the blitz.
Did McDonald check off? He finds Newsome. 6th reception for Ozzie.
I believe when Dave Logan went in motion, that took Pittsburgh out of the blitz.
Ozzie Newsome was quoted before today's game as saying he expected it to be like the Thriller in Manila. Come on, Ozzie, let's not overstate the situation.
6 catches, now 112 yards for Newsome. And he's had a couple of big catches in that first half. 2nd down and about 7, I'd say.
McDonald with good protection, and he's on target again. It's going to be a first down at the 36-yard line. Logan makes the catch.
Excuse me, Bob. Pittsburgh is using a 3-man defensive front and then blitzing Robin Cole from the outside. And in that particular instance, Charles White on the left-hand side of your screen did an excellent job of picking up Cole. And there you see Logan just going out trying to make the first down. We'll watch once again. Woodruff on the outside, Shell on the inside. Just timing pass, just designed to pick up the first down. Miller on the carry.
Cleo Miller gets 4 yards on first down. Clock running with 12 and a half minutes to play in the 3rd quarter.
I would say that play that the Browns called in the first half when Fulton was wide open with a little play action. Good spot for it here once again, although Fulton is standing right there next to Sam Ratigliano. McDonald basically calling his own plays. Obviously, Sam has a great deal of confidence in McDonald. Thrown away.
Newsome in the general vicinity with Shell on the coverage. Back with the Browns' 3rd down play after we checked with NFL 82.
This is Len Berman, NFL 82 in New York, in the battle for the playoff spot in Foxborough. Steve Grogan goes back, looks into the end zone. He's got Ken Toller. The Patriots take the lead, but they miss the extra point. Back to you, Bob Costas.
All right, thank you, Lenny. Busy weekend for Len Berman. He was in the studio till past midnight Eastern time after the Orange Bowl ended. A triple header on NBC. Fiesta, Rose, and Orange, and all good ball games. And then right back doing his usual excellent job on NFL 82. Thank you, Len Berman. 3rd down 6 for the Cleveland Browns. From the shotgun. Overthrown, and he had a man open. Feature was there.
And now what do you do?
Punt.
Bringing in the punter. If in fact they are going to punt, let's see who the upback is for the, I think it's Ambrose, number 52. Not known to run the ball, but kicking from the 32-yard line.
If they were to try a field goal, it would be a 49-yarder within the range of most NFL kickers.
Can Cox throw it?
We may find out. Playing it straight. He's going for the corner. It's inside the 20, but it isn't what they had in mind. The net on this is only about 13 or 14 yards.
19-yard line will be the mark.
A 13-yard kick by Cox. 11:51. Steeler ball. We're in the 3rd quarter. Today's game is brought to you by Budweiser Light, with a clean, distinctive taste worthy of the king of beers, by Owens Corning Fiberglass Corporation, makers of Owens Corning's pink fiberglass insulation, and by Hertz, the car rental company that's #1 for everyone. Still 13-7 Pittsburgh. 11:51 to play 3rd quarter. Franco Harris 20 yards away from 100 for the day, and adds only 1 yard to that total on 1st down.
Let's give credit to Bob Golick there, jumping behind the center, Mike Webster. Made Franco Harris alter his route there a little bit.
Quite a transition, and he's made it smoothly from linebacker to defensive line for Golick.
I read where Sam Martigliano said he hoped that Bob Golick never learned how to play nose man. That without any training, he's done a fine job. He's had 5 sacks in the last 3 games.
His teammates have begun to call him Mad Dog. He's also had 20 tackles in those 3 games. Before today, Franco again. Good change of direction, and he gets 8. Clarence Scott, the free safety, the 12-year veteran from Kansas State, makes the tackle.
I don't know how he does that. And Jack Lambert, The Wages of War. A Cup of Blood on Sunday, authored by one Floyd Little. Remember that article?
A Cup of Blood on Sunday.
Actually, it was Saturday. It was when he was playing with Syracuse.
One of the great ones who wore number 44 for the Orange Men. Jim Brown and Larry Zonka, the others. Russell Davis.
Great second effort. I'm not sure it's enough, but that was outstanding second effort by Russell Davis. He was stopped at the line of scrimmage. Seemed to slide along the line of scrimmage. And if he got it by 1st down. Watch this. At the line of scrimmage, behind Penny. Hawthorne kind of misses a block there. Russell Davis with second effort. Ambrose on the hit. Good job by Russell Davis and a crucial 1st down.
You know, Trump, we haven't seen Walter Abercrombie at all today except returning kicks, and he had a good game last week against New England, their 1st-round draft choice. Bingo. 1st down at the 44-yard line. Lynn Swan with the catch and a gain of 14.
In front of Bolton, and there was no way to stop that. That's a timing pass. You go 12 yards, Lynn, and I'll throw it before you turn around. There's no way that anybody can stop. The ball's halfway there. Bam. That's almost impossible to stop. And Cleveland's defensive backs continue to give the Pittsburgh receivers pretty good sized cushion.
9:25 to play 3rd quarter. Pollard carries and pays for it after a gain of only 1. Let's pause briefly for station identification on the NBC television network.
WPXI, the news station.
Great tackle by Dick Ambrose. Stopped Frank Pollard right in his tracks.
Bob Costas along with Bob Trumpy at Three Rivers Stadium in Pittsburgh. Watch that hit again, Trump.
Watch this now. Pollard is a tough-nosed running back, but watch Ambrose. Stops him right in his tracks for no gain. Second down and about 9 3/4 yards.
Be more precise than that. Bradshaw has lots of time. He's got a receiver. Franco, nice move to sidestep a tackler. Close to a first down.
Franco has a chance this season to lead the Pittsburgh Steelers in both receiving and rushing for the first time in the Pittsburgh Steelers history, which would be rather interesting, as many times as he has carried the ball for the Pittsburgh Steelers to also leading receiving. He has been a very busy man this 1982 season.
He had to be a happy man last night. Penn State winning. Great game against Georgia. Sort of mixed feelings in this area about the bowl games yesterday. Pitt a loser, Penn State a winner.
Oh, no.
Holy smokes.
That can't happen to Cleveland. It can't.
If they should play to a tie, and remember, it's sudden death only for one overtime period. The Steelers got the first down on the measurement. If they should play to a tie, and if Cleveland loses to the Steelers, the Browns are out. And the Bills and Patriots are both in.
And if Cleveland wins and they play to a tie, Buffalo is out, right? I believe that is correct. Oh, no. How can that happen? I know a lot of people on Park Avenue, which is where the league office sits, that hopes that doesn't happen.
8:10 on the clock. Hawthorne gives it to Swan on the reverse. Lynn Swan got a blocker in front of him. 30, 25. Out of bounds at the 21.
No flag. 25 yards on the reverse by Lynn Swan. And Pittsburgh going to a little trickery. In motion. It doesn't appear that anybody's coming with him. It looked like a blitz formation by the defense. And a great block by Mike Webster. And, of course, Swan sets it up with a little juke inside. 25 yards. First down for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Tigliano's squad still trails by only 6, 13-7. Pittsburgh threatening. Harris turns the corner. Franco's run out by Clarence Scott. But it's a gain of about 5 on first down.
Harris now 16 carries, 94 yards. Last week, as Bob said earlier in the first half, that Harris, for just the second time in this 82 season, went over 100 yards. It appears that he's going to go over 100 again this year.
Ken Anderson has thrown his second touchdown pass at Houston. This one goes to Isaac Curtis for 45 yards, and early in the third, the Bengals lead the Oilers 28-13.
The Bengals have not won in Houston in 5 years. Are you aware of that, Herbert?
I am now. Second and 5 from the 15. Franco again, moving ever closer to 100 yards. In games in which Franco Harris has gained 100 yards or more, the Steelers are 42-4. 5 of those 100-yard efforts in postseason games.
Is that right?
Won all of those.
42-4? And it surprises me that earlier in the season, the Steelers tried to go to someone other than Franco Harris. Diversify their offense. Go to the backs out in the flat.
Third down, they need 2. 3 wide receivers. Hawthorne in motion is one of them. Russell Davis lowers his head and gets the first down. First and goal at the 6.
Second effort once again. Russell Davis, the big power back for the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's 2 third down conversions that he has turned in this drive. Watch the hit. Oh, he just crushes that poor defensive back, number 23. Brett.
Mark Kafensis.
Thank you very much.
Waiting for me to do?
Mark Kafensis, number 23.
Anything to help you out, buddy.
Thank you.
First and goal from the 6. 6.5 minutes to play, third quarter. Franco. Is he there? Touchdown. The 93rd touchdown of Franco Harris's career. He has story and the reaction from the Steeler crowd. The snap was bad the last time, and they missed the extra point. This time it's perfect.
And to think when Franco Harris came out of college, he was the second best back at Penn State. Lydell Mitchell was the guy who got all the press.
Steelers go up by 13. 6:26 to play in the third quarter. Franco Harris now tied with Jim Taylor for fourth place on the all-time touchdown list. Franco Harris ties two of the all-time greats in two separate categories. The 42nd 100-yard rushing day of his career. Third best all-time, tied with O.J. Simpson. Jimmy Brown first with 58. Walter Payton still active, of course, with the Bears with 48. 93rd touchdown for Franco. Fourth on the all-time list, a tie with Jim Taylor. Ahead of him, Jimmy Brown, Lenny Moore, and Don Hudson. Dwight Walker will bring it out. And wishes he didn't.
Watch once again, vintage Franco Harris. His ability to stutter back there and somehow still accelerate through the defensive line of scrimmage and have the power to break a tackle to get in the end zone. For the time that he's been in the NFL, I still marvel at his ability to do that. Very few running backs can stutter back there and still gain the yards that he does. Marvelous running back.
And the all-time record is not beyond his grasp. With a good season in 1983, he could pass Jimmy Brown for first place on the all-time rushing list. Incomplete for feature. Franco Harris will begin the 1983 season needing a little more than 1,300 yards to pass Jim Brown. Now, in fairness, Franco Harris has already carried the ball more often than any back in history, more often than Simpson and Brown, who are ahead of him in total yards. So, in average per carry, Jimmy Brown is clearly the best, but Harris could surpass his total.
He has almost 400 carries in postseason play, which is, to some running backs, 2 additional years.
McDonald gets away twice. And down at the 16-yard line, or it will be 3rd and 8.
Well, this game is quickly slipping away from Cleveland's grasp. Watch the pressure. 95, 90, Coors and Goodman. Robin Cole misses him. And then it's desperation. Get me on the ground somewhere. Finally, Merriweather on the tackle.
Merriweather, the rookie from Pacific, 6 tackles last week against the Patriots as he began to come into his own. Another good performance today. 3rd and 8. 5:20 to play, 3rd quarter. Look out!
Ron Johnson.
A flag goes down, Trump. It was Johnson who knocked Steve Grogan of the Patriots out of the game on the last play of the first half last week.
He's calling a shot to the head of the quarterback.
The Patriots thought the same penalty should have been called on Johnson last Sunday, and it wasn't, as he ended Steve Grogan's day.
We'll watch once again, I'm sure, to see if in fact there was an elbow thrown.
It wasn't a late hit, Trump. It was where he hit it.
Personal foul.
Defense roughing the passer. 29. First down.
Let's watch. This is a safety blitz. Comes from the left-hand side of your screen. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Where's the elbow? Didn't hit him in the head. Didn't hit him with an elbow.
You've got to sympathize with Johnson on that call. Here's White. Only a yard, if that. Lauren Taves on the tackle.
Now in defense of Ben Wright, he is standing to the back and to the right of Paul McDonald. But he didn't hit him in the head, and he did not hit him with an elbow. I take that back. Wright is standing to the back and to the left of the left-handed quarterback.
still tied. What a scenario.
This can't happen.
And you can bet that Art Modell and the other Cleveland people who are up here in the press box are aware of that score and have to be just about apoplectic by now. McDonald to the sideline for Newsom. Not much yardage. Couple maybe.
Watch Newsom once again. It looks like a pick. Donnie Shell in the initial coverage. Logan on the inside. But that's good for about a 1.5 yard gain. You're right, Bob.
So it's third and let's say a long 7 now for Cleveland. 4 minutes and 28 seconds to play in the third quarter.
Newsom now 6 catches for 111 yards.
Steeler fans still incensed over the call against Johnson. McDonald barking signals at the top of his lungs and they still can't hear him. Fans applaud themselves for making life miserable for the hated Brownies.
Football in the Pittsburgh area is light. This is not a game. Listen to him.
Rather than the shotgun. Through it. They don't get the first. So Trump, that was more than just an annoyance. It had a tangible effect on what the Browns did. They lined up in a different formation as a consequence of the noise.
This Three River Stadium, I repeat, the Pittsburgh Steelers are 83-18 in Three River Stadium. These people are used to seeing a winning team, and they have in the past had an effect on the opponents that come in here.
Steve Cox's last kick was good for just 13 yards. This is returnable for Sid North. To the 36 with 3 minutes and 41 seconds to play in the third quarter. We'll return to noisy Three Rivers after this. Costas and Bob Trumpy back in Pittsburgh with 3 minutes and 41 seconds to play in the third quarter. It was 13-7 Steelers at halftime. It's 27 now.
The worst of all possible things is presently happening to the Cleveland Browns. They're losing here 20-7. New England and Buffalo in the third quarter are tied 16 apiece.
Pollard. Good yardage on first down for Frank Pollard. Now understand, it is not, and there is Art Modell of the Cleveland Browns.
I'm sure he's been looking, too, at the scoreboard. 2 people to his left is Paul Warfield.
One of the greatest football players ever.
That's got to be tough for Art Modell to take.
Second down 3. Pollard again. Just short of the first down, it would appear. Understand, it is not to the advantage of either New England or Buffalo to tie as opposed to winning. But they both would get in if they tie. 34-6 as Kansas City pours it on the Jets. Bill Kenny to Henry Marshall for the latest score. They've got 13 minutes to play in that game. We're I'm told that at Foxborough, only seconds remain in the third quarter. And it's still tied at 16.
That can't happen to Cleveland. They don't deserve that. No team does, though.
Every year, with all the wacky tie-breaking procedures, it seems like you come down to the last week with some peculiar possibilities. In this year, with 16 teams making the playoffs, it appeared that there was an even greater likelihood that it would happen, and it has.
So far.
Russell Davis, they needed only inches, and even though he was smacked, I think he got it. Dick Ambrose met him, but not in time.
Great hit. One of the toughest tacklers there is in the game, and Russell Davis pointing his finger at Dick Ambrose, wanting some more. That was vicious contact. Ambrose at the back of the line of scrimmage, you'll see him, whoa, right there. That is a great tackle, and he stopped them close enough that they are going to measure. In the air. Boy, that's a fine tackle. Pittsburgh, to that point, was 4 of 7 in converting third downs to first, and they did not make that one.
I thought that they had it, Trump, based upon where he was at the point of contact.
Hard to determine, but at 20-7, you take no chances. So, Bob, you were
too soon, and the Browns will get the ball back.
Bob, you were talking about this 16-game Super Bowl tournament. Remember the strike in baseball and how the Cincinnati Reds had the best record in baseball and sat at home. We had to expect that there was going to be some team that got the short sheet, got the raw end of the deal in this strike-shortened season. It may be Cleveland.
Good kick by Goodson. Walker takes it on the run. Gets by a tackle and a decent return out to the 23. A 44-yard punt by Goodson, a 10-yard return by Walker. Guy Ruff made the tackle for the Steelers. 2:01 to play, third quarter. And President Art Modell knows the situation. They're going to the fourth quarter at Foxborough. If they should wind up tied, and remember, they've got to play through another 30 minutes, 15 minutes of regulation and 15 minutes of overtime for that to happen. And if they wind up tied, and if the Browns lose here, by the strangest of circumstances, Cleveland loses their playoff berth. Ricky Feature, the target incomplete, Woodruff on the coverage. A cynic might note, however, that any team that winds up 4 and 5 has no right to complain about any playoff system which excludes them.
Except if they're excluded in this fashion. That they lose here in New England and Buffalo tie. I wonder what the weather is in New England. Is it good weather?
I wonder if they let the guy out of prison with the plow.
If it's bad weather, you got to think it's even a stronger possibility of a tie.
McDonald under some pressure as he floats one out in the direction of Charles White. Incomplete. 3rd and 10 upcoming.
I believe Charles White was the hot receiver in that situation. McDonald read the blitz. White did not.
When you say hot receiver, Trump, explain that terminology.
Okay, his only responsibility is when he reads blitz, when the quarterback or the receiver reads blitz, just as soon as you get off the line of scrimmage, turn around and look for the ball. He is the hot receiver because there are times when there are going to be men uncovered on the defense that have a free shot at the quarterback. You want a hot receiver, someone who can, as soon as the ball is snapped, turn around and catch it.
Cleveland is just 2 of 10 on third down conversions. You can make it 2 of 11 as McDonald goes under.
90 Bob Coors up the middle. Great pass rusher. And Robin Cole, who has been blitzing most of the day on the offensive left side of the Cleveland Browns.
Is it proper, Trump, to compare the roles of Coors and Cole on occasion with those of A.J. Dewey from Miami, Ted Hendricks for the Raiders?
Yeah, possibly, except that Hendricks moves around quite a bit. Cole stays on that side. Coors was standing up there. He was not down as a defensive lineman. Creates confusion for the Cleveland Browns offense. Who is supposed to block whom?
Cox to kick from near his own goal line. 1:22 to play in the third.
Good kick.
A real boomer signal all the way back to the 36. And to just shy of the Pittsburgh 45. As we go into this commercial, we'll tell you that Miami is in front of Baltimore 17-7 late in the first half in Baltimore. Aha, Tony Collins from a yard out. 13:30 to play in that game. New England in front in the fourth quarter, 23-16. Steve Grogan is at quarterback for the Patriots. He's thrown 2 touchdown passes, one to Morris Bradshaw, another to Ken Toller. After he was knocked out of the game here in Pittsburgh last week and replaced by Matt Cavanaugh. Cavanaugh threw for 2 scores, and there was some thought that Cavanaugh would get the starting assignment this week against the Bills, but Ron Meyer goes with Grogan. Franco Harris adds to his total, which already exceeds 100 yards.
The Cleveland Browns need a turnover. They have got to get the ball, and Walter Abercrombie finally coming onto the field, much to the delight of the Three Rivers patrons here.
Speaking of New England, Trump, remember last week we were talking about Hog Hanna and how he had not publicly complained about the Ron Meyer regime. That changed in a hurry. He has to be traded 2 days later.
All right.
Here is Abercrombie, his first carry. Decent yardage, close to a first down.
Excellent all-purpose back. He had a knee injury earlier in the season, and it seemed to slow him down a little bit. Bob Golick on the tackle. Well, let's watch the first-round draft choice of the Cleveland Browns and the gentleman who is going to the Pro Bowl. Backside pursuit, always vitally important in the NFL. And he's there to make contact on Abercrombie. Strong kid, that makes is.
Potentially outstanding linebacking unit in the future with Cousineau, Clay Matthews, who's back now after a broken ankle, and Chip Banks. That's the end of the third quarter. Back after these messages from your local station. We start the fourth quarter at sold-out Three Rivers Stadium. And a look at what happened in the third period. Forget that, folks. That's not right.
That's not correct, because at the end of the first half, each had 15 minutes of possession.
The Giants are concluding their season at Philadelphia. Both clubs are 3-5. The Giants have some remote playoff possibility. They lead 23-14 late in the third. Russell Davis.
Interesting play. Greg Hawthorne, a running back, was the trapper for the Pittsburgh Steelers. It appeared that he took on Bob Golick, and Mike Webster pulled out on an influence, and Russell Davis up through the middle. The stats. Those are the correct stats. The Steelers almost 100 yards more in total offense. Just a little over 2 minutes more in possession time. That block punt in the first half looms mighty big now.
First down from the Cleveland 38. Bradshaw wants it all. Jim Smith. That all but finishes it. A great diving catch, and the Steeler lead goes to 26-7.
The season, and he appeared to be limping in coverage. Interesting that last week Sam Rutigliano awarded Ron Bolton a game ball when he came in to replace Lawrence Johnson, but today the Steelers have gotten the best of it. Well thrown by Bradshaw, plenty of protection. Let's see if we can see Bolton limping. Excellent catch by Smith. The extra point, good.
Browns' hopes realistically rest on some kind of decision. Anything but a tie in Foxborough, and the Browns still make the playoffs. The game is brought to you by the 1983 Volkswagen. Nothing else is a Volkswagen. By the U.S. Army, a place to be all you can be. And by Merrill Lynch, whose ability to guide you through the intricacies of investing makes them a breed apart. Anderson kicks. Dino Hall returns through the 22-yard line. Bob Coors, number 90, got down and made the tackle.
There's Ron Bolton, the defensive back, along with Hanford Dixon, trying to decide exactly how that touchdown pass occurred, what the move was. 4 plays, 56 yards, and a well-thrown pass from Bradshaw to Smith. Covered the last 38 yards of it.
For Smith, his 4th touchdown reception of the year. Shaw has thrown for 2 scores today, giving him 17 touchdown passes for the season. McDonald trying to get it back in a hurry. Almost. Woodruff on the coverage, and Logan nearly had it.
That's the second great play by Dwayne Woodruff. Just knocking the ball away at the last split second. The roommates Logan and McDonald are once again trying to hook up.
Well,
23-19.
This makes a tie less likely.
Yes, it does. But I do believe that the Cleveland Browns would certainly prefer winning.
Buffalo field goal makes it 23-19 Patriots. There's still plenty of time remaining in the 4th quarter of that game.
Motion Cleveland.
Threw it, couldn't hold it, and was he drilled by Mel Blount?
86 Dan Fulton was in motion at the line of scrimmage.
Blount, who 2 weeks ago in Cleveland became the all-time Steeler interceptor with his 53rd interception, and he's 2nd among active players to Ken Riley of the Bengals, who has picked off 56 in his career.
I think an even more amazing statistic is that Mel Blount.
Decline a penalty. It's 3rd down.
Illegal motion offense, number 86, Fulton, declined the penalty. 3rd down, but Mel Blount holds the Steelers' record for consecutive games at, I think, 183.
He's passed Ray Mansfield last week.
At cornerback, that's rather impressive.
That's actually total games played, Tom. Perhaps not consecutively.
Blitz.
McDonald escapes it, but winds up with the incompletion.
Donnie Shell on the blitz. Steelers taking a chance. Strong safety blitz. Had there been a right-handed quarterback there, he wouldn't have got that pass off. You realize that? Shell came from the backside. McDonald's still able to throw the ball.
A busy day for Steve Cox. Certainly not his best day, averaging just over 33 yards a punt. Sidnor's the deep man at the 40. Good kick by Cox. Drives him back to the 30. Can't get outside. Just a 4-yard return.
Flag down on the play.
49-yard kick by Cox. Curtis Weathers made the tackle. Oh, but it'll cost the Browns.
Illegal man downfield. Pittsburgh would prefer the ball.
Field on a kicking team. Decline a penalty. 1st down, Pittsburgh.
You're right. The Steelers will take it at the 34-yard line. Now, for some of you, except for those of you in the Cleveland-Pittsburgh areas, we're going to take you to the Buffalo-New England game. 27-7 Steelers. 13 minutes and 38 seconds to play in the ball game. The Steelers appear to have it in hand. They have the ball and the 20-point lead. They're celebrating in Pittsburgh. They know they're in the playoffs. There's an outside chance that they could wind up with home field advantage. It appears certain that the Jets will lose. Cincinnati appears to be on their way to a win in the 4th. At Houston, it's 35-20 Bengals. San Diego and the Raiders later. San Diego should lose, coupled with a Jet defeat and a Pittsburgh win. If I'm not mistaken, the Steelers get home field. Abercrombie.
What'd you say? Would you repeat that?
I don't want to.
Oh, okay. Are you sure?
NFL 82. Those guys are paid well to sort that out.
Ah, that's nice of you. Put it on the shoulders of Lynn Berman. Look at there. Big difference in the game when the Steelers are able to run the ball, control the line of scrimmage. 5 years ago, this was the most physical team in the NFL. At the beginning of this season, they tried finesse. Now they're back to the physical style of play.
No opponent has rushed the more than 100 yards. I'm talking about an individual, not a team, against the Steelers at Three Rivers in 5 years. Not since Greg Pruitt did it for the Browns in 1977. Bradshaw once more. Stallworth. Incomplete. Not a fumble, incomplete.
Ron Bolton on the hit, separating Stallworth from the ball. Very close to a reception. Obviously, the Pittsburgh Steelers want more points.
I see Stallworth wearing the gloves on a relatively mild day, and I know that upsets you, Trump.
Not today. The field is not wet. Not today. When the field is dry, gloves are fine. When the field is wet, the gloves are worthless. Absolutely worthless.
Because when you get down on that three-point stance or you make contact with the ground, the moisture seeps into the fingertips.
And it stays wet for the entire ball game. That's... And it stays wet for the entire ball game. That's looks like McDonald, Sipe, and Rick Tricano, the third-string quarterback.
12:46 remaining in the fourth quarter. 27-7 Pittsburgh. Swan couldn't hold it.
Once again, that timing play, the ball thrown before Lynn Swan ever turned his head around. Almost impossible to stop. Well, Cleveland's got to rush this punt. They got to try to come up with the turnover somehow. And they need it immediately.
Little doubt that the block punt by the Steelers in the first half is the single most important play so far.
That is certainly correct.
Gets his bare foot into one, driving Dwight Walker inside the 20. Got to be a flag here. The ball is loose, but it really doesn't matter. He was hit before he had a chance to field it, and the penalty is against the Steelers.
Sam Washington made the contact. 46-yard punt, and the receiver must have a chance to catch the ball.
No chance there.
Dwight Walker there trying to make the catch.
Black armbands with the number 11, which you see the officials wearing, in memory of an official who passed away this year, side judge Vince Jacobs, who had been an NFL official for 5 seasons and, as a matter of fact, resided in the Pittsburgh area.
Interesting. Why would they go back to where the ball was dead? Ah, yeah, he's going back to the spot of the foul. Yes, okay. And then he marks it off from there.
Number 41, 15 yards, first down.
Except I didn't see him give the fair catch signal, but nevertheless, interference by the punting team on the receiver.
12 minutes, 29 seconds left. Browns ball, but they're in a deep hole. Terry Bradshaw now with 17 touchdown passes on the year, but it's hard to believe that Dan Fouts would have a game where he wouldn't throw for at least a couple, and Fouts began the day for San Diego with 16. Joe Montana of the 49ers had 15 coming in. They were the leaders. McDonald pumps it along.
Lambert and Shell in coverage. Excuse me, Robin Cole and Shell in coverage.
Bradshaw making sure Shell is all right.
We were talking about Terry Bradshaw. He had 2 very bad weeks in which he completed, I think, just 29% of his passes and threw 7 interceptions. In the last 2 weeks, he's had very good days. Last week, 17 out of 27 for 2 touchdowns. Today, 12 of 18, 87 yards and 2 touchdowns. He certainly made the turnaround.
McDonald, 14 for 34, 188 total yardage. Over the head of Logan.
Thrown behind him, too. Total zone coverage. We'll watch Logan by himself. You see he passes up one defensive back. And he's just trying to find the dead spot in the zone, but it's thrown behind him and high. That would have been a miraculous catch had he made it. And McDonald did have time, although somewhat pressured. He still had enough time to get it in there between the numbers.
3rd and 10 now for Cleveland from their 37. First down with the catch made by Dwight Walker, the rookie from Nicholls State. He's at the 40-yard line of Pittsburgh.
I do believe that Pittsburgh is now on the prevent mode. That is, they'll protect only the yardage behind them. They will not worry about pass receptions in front of the defensive backs. Rushing appears to be 3 guys up front. This is an excellent throw and catch. That is threading the needle, and you see those defensive backs way deep. Woodruff and Johnson, this is a prevent situation. Or it was, I should say.
23 on the completion. McDonald, with Logan in motion, goes back to work. Pumps once, then lets it go. Shell was bidding for his 6th interception of the year.
We got a flag down at the line of scrimmage, Bob.
Keith Willis, the rookie defensive end from Northeastern, was putting the pressure on McDonald.
We've got offsides against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I think it was Willis who jumped off. Let's listen to Ben Dreith to find out.
Offside, 93.
You got it? Pittsburgh going with their pass rush set, blitzing Robin Cole a lot, keeping those defensive backs very, very deep in coverage.
So it becomes 1st and 5 with 11:27 left. Feature makes the catch for a first down at the Pittsburgh 25.
McDonald zipped that one in there. That was really a rifle shot by McDonald. 10 yards on the catch, first down for Cleveland. And it's a little late. They're driving the ball very well here. They're down 27-7. Pittsburgh is going to allow them a lot of yards underneath their coverage. Not let anybody get deep.
On the scoreboard here at Three Rivers, it still says 23-19 New England in the 4th over Buffalo. The catch is made by Feature as Woodruff almost had the interception. Woodruff and Donnie Shell have each intercepted 5 this year, which is tops in the AFC. This turns into a 17-yard gain and a 1st and goal from the Pittsburgh 9. Let's go to New York.
All right, Bob Costas, tell them to change that scoreboard at Three Rivers Stadium. The Patriots have just scored again. Grogan, 2 yards to Hasselbeck. The Patriots are on their way to the playoffs right now, 30-19 over Buffalo. Back to you, Bob.
Now, wouldn't that be something with all of the bad words back and forth between coach and player in New England? They make it to the playoffs.
McDonald rolling, hitting Logan. Touchdown, Cleveland.
Well, we're going to have some excitement here, that's for sure. I would certainly expect an onside kick by Cleveland to try to get the ball back as best they possibly can. Now 27-13. This is just a little pick play. Logan makes a good move here. 47,
Mel Blunt,
right, which is not easy to do.
So McDonald has thrown for 2 scores today. The first one went to Feature. Still got 10:02 to play.
Right now, the Cleveland Brown kickoff team is meeting on the sideline. I'm sure they'll have an onside kick.
Matt Barr returning to Three Rivers Stadium, the scene of many triumphs and some heartache when he was with the Steelers, adds the extra point. We anticipate an onside kick. Is that your guess, Trump?
I think we should, yes.
We'll come back and see what happens in just a moment. Now the Browns switch kickers. Normally it's Steve Cox to kick off because he gets the greater distance, but now they're making no secret about their onside kick intentions. Matt Barr will handle the duties this time.
Pittsburgh is not surprised. There's a lot of meeting going on out there.
A couple of weeks ago, Matt's brother Chris of the Raiders recovered his own onside kick against the Rams. Remember that?
Well, looks like it's going to the right side, far side of the field.
There it is. Ball is loose.
I think Pittsburgh recovers.
They do.
Let's see if we can pick up the number.
There was a fleeting second, Trump, when they didn't have control of it.
You are right.
Browns had a chance.
Looks like Lynn Swan, 88, with the recovery.
I think you're right. Yeah, there he is.
This ball got by Lynn Swan, and then he manages to come back and get it. Excellent job by Mr. Swan.
Hanford Dixon was the guy who was trying to steal it from him.
Anything's legal in those situations. Just about anything is legal.
Well, Barr did a good job of placing it and making it a tricky hop to handle. Can't ask for more than that. It's always part luck and part skill on an onside kick. Here's Abercrombie. Walter Abercrombie is into Browns territory at the 42 and a gain of 14.
Well, now, unfortunately, Cleveland's got to go all out. Blitzes. They got to try to anticipate the snap, be there as the ball is snapped to create a turnover somehow.
Philadelphia comes roaring back. 24-23 in the fourth at Philadelphia. It was 23-10 just a short time ago in favor of the Giants. Kansas City 37-13 in the fourth at home over the Jets. Russell Davis. They're ready for him. Cousineau and Ambrose. 28-0 in the fourth. This will make 2 victories for the Redskins this year over the Cardinals, and Washington will finish with the NFC's best record at 8-1. Cardinals will go to the playoffs anyway at 5-4. Cincinnati and Houston looks like a wild one, 35-27. How much time is left? Just over a minute, so the Bengals appear safe. Abercrombie.
Notice Clay Matthews in the ball game for the Cleveland Browns. He out with the. He has a plate in his ankle. Broke his ankle in the early stages of the season.
First game, to be exact, against Seattle. And this is his first action since then. Jack Ham, certainly a Hall of Famer when his career is over. Cincinnati, Houston is a final now. Bengals 35, Oilers 27. Bengals look like they have home field in the playoffs. Russell Davis. As we told you,
first time the Bengals have won in the Astrodome in 5 years.
Well, now it's 4th and short coming up for the Steelers. Clock is running, exactly 8 minutes left.
Looks like they're going for it. They bring in Penny, Hawthorne, and Frank Pollard.
A field goal try would be about a 50-yarder.
Better hurry. There's 10 seconds left on the 30-second clock.
A punt would be tricky to get out of bounds at this distance, so they go for it and don't get it. What a play by Chip Banks, the Pro Bowler who cut through and upended Russell Davis. Cleveland ball.
Tell you what, I admire the Cleveland Browns. Down 27-14. They are not about to give up. There you see the play. It looked like the same play they ran earlier where Hawthorne was the trapper on motion up through the middle of the formation.
So far as I know, Franco Harris is not hurt, with a seemingly comfortable lead, or one they thought to be comfortable a few moments ago. And with Franco having already recorded more than 100 yards and a touchdown, I think they're just resting him.
Agreed.
But we didn't see him on that possession. The Browns have a definite chance if they can score quickly.
Feature.
All alone, he's got it. Feature is inside the 20 of the Steelers.
Did you see the pattern? A stop and go, 45 yards on the pass and catch. And Feature went down the field at about 15 yards, stopped dead, and then took off by Dwayne Woodruff. That is the deadly sin of a defensive back in this situation, leading 27-14 with 7 minutes left. Don't let him get behind you. Great play by McDonald and Feature.
He got behind Woodruff, who had the primary coverage, and before Ron Johnson could arrive from his free safety spot to help out, they had the big gain. They score here. All kinds of time remaining. 6:47 on the clock as they snap it. Jump ball and picked off.
Mel Blount with superior strength, able to keep the ball up in the air. It slips out of Feature and Mel Blount's hands into the hands of Ron Johnson. That's another drive they've stopped. That was a heck of a play by Mel Blount. Both he and Feature had their hands on the ball. Watch closely. The ball remains up in the air. Both with their hands firmly on the ball. Look at that, without pass interference. He keeps the ball in the air. And there's Johnson, the right man at the right place at the right time. I'm telling you, Cleveland's got to feel like every time they come to Three River Stadium, whatever you can drop on the chalkboard to go wrong will in fact go wrong.
They were on the verge of making this game very, very interesting. 6:37 remaining. Abercrombie for nothing. He's still on his feet. Look at this. Abercrombie still alive.
No flags. It all counts.
Sam Ratigliano may feel that on another occasion the whistle would have blown. It was close. They could have blown the play dead. They gave Abercrombie the second effort. He spun away, and instead of no gain, it's a 34-yard run.
Not a bad job by Abercrombie. You see Chip Banks. Great contact there, but he's able to keep his feet. What an acrobat. And then it's a foot race. Watch the acceleration here. Around that corner by Clarence Scott. 34 yards.
Replay shows Trump the officials clearly were right in not blowing the play dead. Abercrombie was still squirming around. Bradshaw pumps it long. Lynn Swan has it intercepted by Clarence Scott. Clarence Scott has it for the Browns. Boy, Swan came out of that little exchange as if he had the ball there for a split second. He was running toward the goal line, and I think Bradshaw thought for a moment that Swan had it.
Did you see the smile on Terry's face? Great play by Clarence Scott. Obviously, Pittsburgh wasn't happy with the 27-14 score. Watch this interception by Clarence Scott. Started out his career as a corner, moved to strong safety, now free safety. Great catch. And that's deceiving.
That's the 8th pass that Scott has intercepted against the Steelers in his career. Looked like the Steelers were offside. Diving attempt at an interception.
Newsom went the wrong way. Or McDonald somehow missed communication with Newsom. Newsom broke to the outside. The ball was thrown inside.
It was Johnson who had the interception just a moment ago, trying to make it 2.
Johnson appears to be shaken up.
Correct that touchdown total for Bradshaw. He's thrown for 2 scores today.
That's 2 straight weeks.
Defense.
Cost the Steelers 5 and the down over. 1st and 5 from the 37.
McDonald 19 of 41 for 292 yards on the day.
Timeout. Pittsburgh. First timeout.
Pittsburgh asked for time, and let me ask you this, Trump. Abercrombie had just busted one off for 34, trying to kill some time, and Bradshaw goes up top. There might be some criticism of that choice.
Well, I'm not sure anybody knows what, in fact, is going to happen in this Super Bowl tournament. Maybe point differential may determine home field advantage. And Pittsburgh at 83-18 and certainly heading towards 84-18 in Three River Stadium, they want that home field advantage. I think they're 8-1 here in Three River Stadium in postseason play.
Tonight on NBC, Trump, now listen to this. The time travelers duel with Spartacus in ancient Rome on Voyagers. Then on chips, will a robot make Punch obsolete? Don't say it. And O.J. Simpson stars as a private investigator out to bust a drug smuggling operation in Cocaine and Blue Eyes. All tonight on NBC.
Good for O.J.
Did you ever have any movie offers, Trump, after your career ended?
No. Not even any home movie offers.
The Browns are on the critical list, but they are not dead here. 6:07 left. McDonald. Interference, maybe. Yeah, there it is. Dan Fulton was kind of taunting Ron Johnson, who had the flag thrown on him, and as Fulton headed back the other way, Blunt gave him a belt. And now the hostilities boil over elsewhere, and Sam Rutigliano comes out on the field to help break it up.
You don't want to see this game deteriorate. Watch closely the entire thing. Sam trying to keep order. There's interference. There is no doubt about that.
Watch Fulton when he gets up.
Yes. Now watch what happens.
Now watch Blunt.
Kawapa. I tell you what, that's certainly out of character for Mel Blunt. He is one of the fine gentlemen there is in this game, and not just in the NFL. It'll be interesting to see what the officials do here. That is a flagrant foul by Mel Blunt.
Well, Blunt says, I've been around this league for 13 years, and Fulton is a relative youngster. I don't appreciate you taunting my teammate.
But in this season, when the commissioner is...
Defensive pass interference, number 29.
That's all they're going to call. Now, wait a minute. There was another flag on the field. There was a second flag on the field, Bob. What are they going to do about the second flag?
Pick it up and put it in their pocket, I guess.
They shouldn't. That's interference. It's by a very small amount, but that is interference. Now, I wonder if we'll be able to see the second flag thrown. Because this is extracurricular activity. I am very surprised. Do you see a flag come in there? Let's see if they'll add to that. Well, that's what Deacon is saying. There was a second flag thrown. Where is the second flag? I think Sam Rutigliano was saying that for the shot on Fulton by Blunt, there should be another 15 yards added to it.
There's no tack on. It's just what they got on the pass interference, which gives them a first down at the Pittsburgh 23. Exactly 6 minutes left. Newsom only 3 yards, but out of bounds with 5:56 on the clock.
Not the only way that you can silence the crowd here in Three River Stadium. Make a completion. 37-13, the final.
Well,
Jack Rudney's last game for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Won't keep the Jets out of the playoffs, but it'll give them something to think about between now and next weekend.
And Walt Michaels something to yell at them about.
Newsom again and out of bounds again. They needed 7 for the first down, and they have very nearly that.
That's Newsom's 8th catch of the day. And the Cleveland Browns just trying to get a little bit at a time.
These fans in Pittsburgh are aware of all the possibilities, apparently, because they cheered rather heartily when the Jets' defeat was announced. They know that that, coupled with the San Diego loss against the Raiders and a Pittsburgh victory here over the Browns, would give the Steelers a home field edge in the playoffs. First time they put the ball on the ground in a long time, Johnny Davis. It was third and less than a yard. Davis's first carry of the day. It's a final. So Cleveland is in the playoffs no matter what happens here. 30-19. Buffalo is out. New England is in.
Well, that's good. Nobody wanted that to happen, to come down to a tie ball game. McDonald now 20 of 42 on the day for 302 yards. I wonder if Cleveland is aware of that. I don't see any Cleveland Browns looking at the scoreboard, which is admirable on their part.
Johnny Davis, formerly with Tampa Bay and more recently with San Francisco, did not get them the first down.
Got to go for it. You got to go for it. Although you're now in the playoffs, so you change your attitude. There's Mr. Art Modell. I'm sure he's looking at the scoreboard whenever he gets a chance. Look at him. Cheering the team on.
And rest assured he knows about that Patriot victory over the Bills. Less than a yard is what they need. And less than a yard is what they get. The question is,
It looks like he got it, though.
where they spot it, because a gain of a foot would have given them the first down.
The VAR official is motioning, and Art Modell, I believe, is pointing exactly where the ball should be. I think that gentleman right there is telling him of the score. 30-19. I think he now knows they're in the playoffs.
And they have the first down. Now, if by some miracle the Browns should win this game, and both these teams wind up 5-4, the Browns go ahead of the Steelers with regard to the playoff pairings by virtue of having beaten them head-to-head twice. Into the end zone for Logan, incomplete.
Boy, this has turned out to be a heck of a game. What would this game be like without that block punt? It would now be 20-14.
Without the drop touchdown pass by Fulton or the interception by Johnson, which snuffed out a drive just a short time
A
ago.
lot of things have happened on this day in Three River Stadium. Most of them against the Cleveland Browns. But Pittsburgh has played well. They have played outstanding football, and each time that Cleveland's gotten down this close, they've always come up with a big defensive play.
Touchdown! Ricky Feature, his second touchdown reception. We've still got 4 minutes and 52 seconds to play, and the Browns are within a touchdown.
And now that missed extra point certainly looms as a big play. Total zone, 3 guys on the pass rush, and how McDonald got that through all those hands, beyond me. Ron Johnson on the inside. It appeared to be Lambert on the outside. Great pass.
McDonald holds, Matt Barr kicks. They're within 6.
My goodness, onside kick again. Will they try it on the same side? Let's look and see who lines up in the second line on the near side of the field this time. Swan got it last time. They may try somebody else.
Trump, I don't think they should try an onside kick. With nearly 5 minutes remaining and they have their timeouts left, I'd kick it deep.
Matt Barr is coming on the field. I'm not so sure I agree with you.
Next weekend, Trump, the first round of the Super Bowl tournament here on NBC, the beginning of the long road, the strange road this year to Pasadena. We'll bring you all the action next Saturday and Sunday as 8 AFC teams battle in the first round of the playoffs. Check your listing for the game and time in your area. All here on NBC Sports, the home of the Super Bowl.
All right, on the far side in the second line for the Pittsburgh Steelers is Lynn Swan. On the near side is Jim Smith, number 86. That's Swan on the far side. On the other side is Jim Smith, two of the best right there. There's Smith.
The Giants came back to win at Philadelphia on a Joe Danello field goal, a 25-yarder with 6 seconds left. They pull it out 26-24. They have some kind of faint playoff hope yet, the Giants do. Very unlikely, however. They kick it deep. I think they did the right thing. Abercrombie can't field it.
And he does the right thing in letting it go.
While we have a chance here, Trump, we want to congratulate Bruce Berquist, our technical director, celebrating his 33rd year with NBC.
Is that right? 33 years?
Oh, his 33rd wedding anniversary, they're telling me now.
Oh, Mrs. Berquist is going to be all over you.
Which is harder, to be married for 33 years to the same woman or employed for 33 years by the same company?
Depends on the man, I would suppose. All right, now Cleveland's got to take big chances. Try to get the ball back with some decent amount of time left on the clock.
Frank goes back in after sitting out their last possession. He gets only 2 yards.
And I'll tell you what, the offensive line of the Pittsburgh Steelers without Larry Brown, Tunchilkin at left tackle, have done an outstanding job all day long. When they need yards, they always seem to get yards. And I would tend to think that Abercrombie and Harris are going to get the ball an awful lot in the next 3 or 4 minutes. Cleveland expecting that. They've got 4 defensive linemen now, I noticed.
We're down to 4:05 to play.
Sweep right.
Flag goes down, and so does Franco for a loss.
I believe they're going to have Abercrombie going towards the line of scrimmage in motion. And that might be a motion penalty.
Well, if you're the Browns, you likely decline the penalty because you stop them for a loss of 4, and they also lose the down.
Illegal procedure by the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, both these teams are in the playoffs, and yet they're playing like this is the Super Bowl. I admire both teams for that. Not about to give up.
This game is not totally meaningless at this point. If Cleveland wins it, and I realize it's complicated, they would...
Illegal motion, refuse the penalty, 3rd down.
Thank you, Ben Dreith. They would certainly have a better playoff seeding because they would get the tiebreaker over the Steelers. If the Steelers could win it and finish at 6-3, they'd have a crack, depending upon the outcome of the Raiders-Chargers game later, at home field advantage. So there's something at stake here in the last 3:56. 3rd down, 11.
Up and run by the cornerbacks on the receivers of the Steelers.
Big play. Lynn Swann. All kinds of running room. Lynn Swann trying to outrace Clarence Scott. A flag goes down, and Swann is to the 22-yard line of the Browns. I think Scott might have grabbed him by the face mask as he was shoving him out of bounds.
57 yards on a catch by Swann, and you're right, it is face mask, and it was a real pushing and shoving match at the line of scrimmage. Swann wins, but I'll tell you what, that's great coverage. That is great coverage. It's perfectly thrown by Terry Bradshaw.
Face mask number 22, 5 yards. That's a 1st down.
Lynn Swann, who is still without a touchdown reception this year, has caught 5 passes today for 104 yards. He's getting hot at the right time at the top of his game, or certainly close to it as we approach the playoffs. Franco appeared to move out of his stance there. Flag goes down as Abercrombie is dumped for a loss.
2 guys in motion at the same time. Harris tried to stop.
Penalty stops the clock with 3:40 left. From where the Steelers are now, keep in mind that rookie Gary Anderson has been a virtual lock from this distance on field goals, so they don't need the touchdown. If they get the 3, they've just about locked it.
Offense, illegal shift. 2 men moving at the same time. It's 2nd down.
And you mentioned Gary Anderson. He is a heck of an offensive weapon. The thing that I marvel about with Gary Anderson, he is constantly warming up through 4 quarters on the sideline. He never seems to sit down.
Franco on 2nd and 15.
They're not going to chance it right here. They're going to keep it on the ground, I would think, and allow Mr. Anderson to kick once again. He's missed just 1, and that was the 56-yard attempt. There he is. He is always warming up. He's watching that little piece of paper to see where the wind is blowing. He does that the entire game. I would think that when the game is done, he is as exhausted as Franco Harris is after carrying the ball 25 times.
Even if they gain nothing on this play, it'll be just a 34-yard field goal for Anderson. .255 remaining. They're going to throw it, Trump. Lots of time. Whoa. Dangerous. Incomplete.
My goodness. I bet you Chuck Noll took a deep breath on that one.
There were 2 Browns as well as 2 Steelers in the vicinity, and just about everybody had a crack at it.
Still got a smile on his face, though.
Cliff Stout kneeling at the 25-yard line, so let's call it a 35-yard attempt by Anderson, who's 9 of 11 for the year. Right through there. The rookie from Syracuse makes it 30-21. 2:39 remaining, and it looks like Tunch Ilkin is hurt for the Steelers. Bob Costas and Bob Trumpy at Three Rivers Stadium in Pittsburgh, where the Steelers held a 27-7 lead until Paul McDonald rallied the Browns with a couple of touchdown throws to make it 27-21. Then, on a crucial 3rd down on this last drive, Terry Bradshaw threw a pass to Lynn Swann, which wound up good for 57 yards, and it led to a field goal by rookie Gary Anderson. And on that field goal play, Tunch Ilkin was hurt, and that is Ilkin down and being tended to on the field. Here's the Bradshaw to Swann pass, Trump.
You see Bradshaw almost trip and fall down going back. This is great coverage by, I believe, Hanford Dixon on that particular play, but it's just perfectly thrown by Bradshaw, leading Lynn Swann just as you want to draw it up and teach anybody, and Swann just legs it down. Over 100 yards in receptions, and a face mask penalty there by Clarence Scott added a few more yards to it, and it resulted in the 3 points and some breathing room now for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Now we have 2 minutes and 39 seconds remaining. Tigliano had bright hopes for a comeback, which appeared to be in the making if they could have stopped the Steelers on that play, which resulted in the long pass from Bradshaw to Swann. Browns would have gotten the ball back with plenty of time remaining. Here's Dino Hall jitterbugging around and down at the 23. Those of you just joining us, by virtue of New England's victory today over Buffalo, the Browns are in the playoffs even if they lose. The Steelers were assured of a playoff spot coming in. It's possible that they could gain home field advantage depending upon what happens in other games elsewhere. McDonald goes up top, and it's intercepted. Ron Johnson with his 2nd interception of the day.
First things first, though, Cleveland is in fact in the playoffs. New England beating Buffalo. And I don't imagine that Cleveland is really that particular about who they play. They are, in fact, in the playoffs by virtue of the fact that New England beat Buffalo. What was that final score? 30-19, I believe?
That's correct.
And both teams here today have played like there is a lot more at stake on the line. But it will be, if the score remains the same, 13 years since the Browns have won in Pittsburgh. They have never won at Three Rivers Stadium. What's it going to be, Terry?
going to be Abercrombie. Short yardage on first down. Clinton Burrell might have been a bit overzealous.
I don't know what happened to Bradshaw there. He may have thought that the 30-second clock had expired, but it has not. 2 minutes left.
We've reached the 2-minute warning, and as always, that brings us to another one of our fantastic finishes features. Take it away, guys.
Alcoa presents Fantastic Finishes. 1975, Bum Phillips versus Don Shula. Needing more than a field goal, Dan Pastorini hands off to Ronnie Coleman. He cuts back inside one tackler, breaks outside, then rumbles over a second tackler, sidesteps a third, breaks the grip of a fourth, and powers his way through tacklers 5, 6, and 7. Houston wins 20-19.
Bob Costas and Bob Trumpy back in Pittsburgh for the final 2 minutes. And I think the Browns can possibly look upon this as some kind of momentum, even though they're going to lose the ball game, at least it appears that way, because they rallied in this fourth quarter, and they can feel good about that going into the playoffs. Had they lost it in the fashion that it appeared they would lose, trailing 27-7, then they're going into the playoffs on a downer. They can take some measure of satisfaction from this. Franco Harris taking a lot of satisfaction from another 100-yard-plus game, and his total is now at 122.
What an offensive weapon. Cleveland will be the only team in the history of the NFL to qualify for the playoffs with a losing record, though. We know that for sure. 4-5.
Could happen over in the NFC this year as well, so they'll have company in that regard.
How about they'll be the first team to qualify for the playoffs with a losing record?
I'll buy that.
Okay.
Our spotters up in the booth today have been Jim McKinley and Tim Fogarty. George Jordan helped us with statistics, also lending a hand in the booth, Jack Lewis.
How many times have you seen in the last 11 years Franco Harris at the end of a ball game for the Pittsburgh Steelers just eating up time and yards to ensure the victory for the Steelers? He's made a habit of it, hasn't he?
Certainly has, and one of the great playoff players in history. We'd also like to thank Warren Pick for his assistance on the telecast today.
Well, we know that Cleveland will travel somewhere to play someone next week, and that's better than being home.
Third down 2 now for the Steelers from the Cleveland 40-yard line. But they don't give up here. Bradshaw's going to throw again. Here's Franco. Franco Harris inside the 25. Steelers don't abandon the passing game until the final gun, Trump.
And now is the time when tempers seem to flare. I do believe that. Look at that final.
Washington finishes at 8-1, so the momentum and the good feeling that Joe Gibbs' team developed at the end of the 1981 season carried over this year. They win 8 out of 9. Cardinals are in the playoffs, though. Big Red finished 5-4.
Got to hand it to Joe Gibbs and the Washington Redskins. They have done a fantastic job. When he first came there, they couldn't buy a game. And now they've got one of the best offenses there is. Great special teams, too, with Mike Nelms returning punts and kickoffs. Mark Mosley kicking the ball. Well-rounded football team.
Among our viewers in the Pittsburgh area today, the son of one of our NBC people, Jerry Valdivia. His son, Eddie, who's not been feeling well, is at home watching the game in Pittsburgh. We wish Eddie a speedy recovery. Whoa, it looks like Tampa Bay and Chicago are going to overtime, tied at 23. Bill Capice kicked a 40-yard field goal with 30 seconds left in the game in regulation to tie it at 23. And Craig Morton's career ends today.
There's that score, 23-23 in the fourth quarter.
Abercrombie, penalty marker down. 7:29 remaining. Steelers will be 6-3. The Browns will be 4-5. And the people in New York, Lenny Berman and company on NFL 82, will tell you all about who's in the playoffs. This gentleman has no idea where he is.
Offside 79. First down.
The exact moment I said that, the camera switched to Ben Dreif. I didn't mean to imply that the official had no idea where he was, but rather the fan who was now being led away by the gendarmes. The coordinating producer of football on NBC is Ted Nathanson. The telecast of today's game was produced by David Stern, and Ted Nathanson was here in Pittsburgh to direct it. Our technical director, Bruce Berquist, associate director, Brian Orentrack. Happy New Year, fellas, and thanks for your help today.
And happy 33rd anniversary to Bruce Berquist and his wife.
That's wedding anniversary.
Yes, anniversary. That's why I included his wife.
Abercrombie carries again.
Cleveland, last timeout. First down.
The Cleveland timeout stops the clock with 1:22 remaining. It was 7-0 Steelers after one, 13-7 Pittsburgh at the half. It grew to 27-7 in the fourth quarter before the Browns rallied to make it 27-21. Then a Gary Anderson field goal gave the Steelers their present margin of 9 at 30-21. Again, a reminder, the first round of the Super Bowl tournament here on NBC next Saturday and Sunday. Check your local listings for the game and time in your area. The country will be split. Parts will see one game, parts will see another. And of course, we will switch back and forth during all of our coverage to try and give you as much a flavor of everything that is going on as we possibly can. Unofficially, we had Franco with 122 yards earlier.
And willing to carry the ball more. I got to give a pat on the back to both these football teams. Pittsburgh was in the playoffs, had nothing really to gain by this victory except momentum for the playoffs. Cleveland was down and almost out several times and made a game of it.
Abercrombie getting a fourth quarter workout. Boy, does this kid fight.
What are the chances that on two successive years, the Pittsburgh Steelers have first-round draft choices both from Baylor? Am I correct? Hawthorne?
Separated by a year. Hawthorne in 79 and then Abercrombie.
Yeah, Malone was the one that was in between. But what are the chances of that? Two first-round draft choices from Baylor, both running backs, although they use Hawthorne as a wide receiver. I'd say that's pretty odd.
Abercrombie gets them a first and goal at the 1. Abercrombie, 9 carries for 72 yards. That is the biggest total of his rookie season. They ask him to score, and he does.
Jump by Abercrombie into the end zone. 36-21. The extra point coming up.
Oh, another bad snap, but Stout gets it down, and Anderson kicks it through.
Great job by Stout. As we said at the opening of the ball game, when the Steelers play in Three River Stadium, they have averaged this season 33 points a game. On the road, less than 13. And you and I may be the only people left here to watch this kickoff. They are heading for the streets of Pittsburgh. Attention to the holder, but watch the job that to get it on its point, and Anderson with that strong leg gets it through.
I am truly amazed in watching the work that Gary Anderson has done this year. And in considering his record, 18 of 19 in his senior season at Syracuse, that he lasted until the 7th round of the draft and then was cut by Buffalo.
How about Rich Carlos of the Denver Broncos? Was a total walk-on for the Broncos, one of 478 guys to just show up at a workout camp and displace Fred Steinfurt, who was an all-pro kicker in 1980. Kickers seem to move in and about through the NFL almost at will. They're here 1 year and somewhere else the next.
Dino Hall trying to get outside. Dino with a little excitement, but they run him down at the 36. Our producer, David Stern, just asks us over the headset, what are the possibilities of these teams meeting again at some point in the playoffs? David, you go figure that out. And call us back in about 3 days when you're done figuring.
You explain it.
18 seconds left. Another interception. Here's Jack Lambert. Little fun. He watched the Cal Stanford game. Pitches it back to Donnie Shell.
Rugby in Three River Stadium. 5 seconds left. The desperation pass. Looked like a center fielder there, catching the 3rd out, did he not?
The Steeler offense comes back for one last play. McDonald was valiant.
I still wonder what that block was. The effect it had on the Cleveland Browns, because at that point they were still playing very, very well. That's it.
Bradshaw kneels to run it out. The Steelers have now beaten the Browns 13 straight times in Pittsburgh and 10 times overall in their last 12 meetings. Browns finish 4-5. Steelers 6-3. Back after this. Trump, an interesting ball game. Had a little bit of everything in it.
Neither team was ready to quit. Both are in the playoffs by virtue of the victory New England over Buffalo. 30-19. A valiant effort on both teams' part.
Terry Bradshaw is down on the field right now. Trump, take it away.
All right, Terry, second week in a row we talked to you after a great performance today. 14 of 24, 267 yards, 2 touchdowns. Forget that slump, son. You're outstanding.
Well, I don't know about outstanding. We're playing good football, Bob, and you can see we're running the ball now, and we're not throwing as much, but we're taking advantage of what they're giving us. And I tell you, this is the Steelers of old, and we're playing well.
They are taking. You are a very physical team. There's no doubt about that. Hang on, Terry.
We'll come back here as time permits. It's a Pittsburgh, but right now let's go to the NFL report.